Oh yeah, we here.
Hey, 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 hey. What is going on, beautiful people? Can you believe this is actually episode number 24 of the Blu-XPerience? I actually can't believe it. I can't believe we've done 24 of these things, Blue.
I can't
Can
either.
you?
I really can't believe it's been 24.
Jeez, man. Time flies, man. But you know what? The good thing is that the first one and the 24th one, we're still enjoy doing the show. We're still enjoying doing the show. And the array of guests that we have had on, and the guests that are coming on, just fire. We love each and every one of them. They're all different perspectives, and that's why we keep bringing them to you guys this week. So,
And I have to
welcome
say,
aboard, man.
too that we actually are now officially binge worthy. We now have an episode for every hour of the day. So if you guys want to go back and watch this one included the last 24 episodes of the Blu-XPerience with me and XP. Multiple guests, great guests. Every single one of the episodes is very special. And today we have just as special, or even more special, because this episode is going to be the most fire episode we've ever had. XP, tell them why.
Literally most fire episode. Look, let me say this. We're about to bring on a multi-talented individual in the flight sim community, one that got me started, got me inspired in not just flying, but streaming and other things. I've actually met him in person at the Flight Sim Expo in 2019. I'm not sure if he remembers that, but I am so happy to have him on board. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Captain K-Man is in the house on the Blu-XPerience. Captain K-Man, what's going on, sir? Welcome aboard, man.
I got a phone call from my agent, and they said you needed some talent on your show, so here I am. All right, I'm here.
Literally, it's
here.
fire. I know, man. I'm loving the background. I'm looking at the background, looking over, and going, "Wow, where can I get one of those for my streams?" Yeah.
Well, my house is literally on fire, so you probably don't want that going on right there. I just decided to stay because you guys are so amazing. So I'm like, let it burn. I'll just sit here. I'm good.
Let it burn, man. Given the state of the world today, it's appropriate. I love it.
Yeah. What's that meme with the dog sitting in the fire with the cup of coffee, and he's like, "This is fine. This is
So
fine."
good. Yeah. It's true. Wow. Captain K-Man, welcome to the show, man. Absolutely a pleasure to have you on. Definitely, I'm glad we reached out to you and got you to come on board and hang with us for the next hour, 2 hours, just talk about the whole thing, flight simming, new, old, past, present, future, the whole thing. I mean, you've been so busy in this industry, in front of the camera and also behind the scenes that people don't know about. You know, we were talking to you just before the stream started, and you were in the process of fixing Key West for a scenery, and I'm like, what are you talking about? So let's start there.
Okay.
This is what people don't understand. A lot of guys come, they get a scenery, they buy it, they get an airplane, they buy it, they have the flight sim, and they go about their business. But do they ever wonder, like, who fixes stuff? Who makes the stuff actually tick? So you're working on Key West fixing what right now? Which Key West are you working on? What are you doing?
Okay, well, so I bought Orbix, right? Love Orbix, great company for the most part. But you can tell when people are inexperienced in the X-plane simulator environment. You know, so Orbix traditionally they're FSX and P3D, right? And of course now they're kicking stuff out in Microsoft. And then they gave us a smattering, you know, of the scenery that they've done in P3D. They brought it over into X-plane, but you can always tell when they're like they don't quite get how X-plane operates because it's different. It's different than the ESP engine, which is, you know, what FSX and P3D run on, and Microsoft runs on it a tiny bit, but for the most part, as you know, new engine, Black Shark AI, all that other good stuff. But yeah, like this one here, usually it's the AI that's broken, right? I'm a huge fan of AI. You know, a lot of people are like, "Hey, I fly on BatSim, great." Well, what do you do when you're flying out of like China or something and there's no air traffic controllers, right? I want planes around me. I want hundreds of planes going everywhere. So I'm a big fan of AI software, like World Traffic 3, Traffic Global. Those are kind of the two big choices on X-plane right now. I think they're the only choices on X-plane right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, but because of that, a lot of developers early on, especially like when X-Plane 11 first hit the market, and we started getting payware products, right, payware airports, they were completely leaving out the AI part of the airport. And it's not the taxi network system in X-Plane is not just for AI to use; it's for the player to use also, right? When you call up the air traffic control system that's built in default to X-Plane, or if you're using a third-party program like Pilot to ATC, it looks at that taxi network and it looks at Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and it reads that to you, right? But if you don't put a network in there, the only thing that the computer will ever do is taxi to the runway. And if you want that immersion, right? We're all about immersion. Okay,
Right.
we're all about immersion. We want these programs to be able to access that. And to me, this is kind of how I got my start in the X-Plane community, because it was pissing me off. Right? I was like, why am I paying $25 for an airport that's not done? It's incomplete. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in X-Plane correctly. So I started poking around, started learning World Editor, and just like, okay, I get it. And then eventually we got World Traffic 2, which, rest in peace. Oh my God, I'm so glad that's in the garbage. No offense, Greg. I love you, brother. I love you. But World Traffic 2 was not easy to use.
No,
it was
wasn't.
very, very unintuitive. It was very unintuitive. World Traffic 3, though, it's a work of art. I'm currently beta testing the new version. He's getting ready to drop on everybody, and the changes to that are incredible. But yeah, consistently though, I find a lot of payware airports, either the taxi network is corrupt or doesn't work right. They didn't set up the parking spots correctly, so AI doesn't know what to do. My favorite bug I saw was, I think it was at Mr. X's San Diego. There's a bug in World Traffic, or in World Editor, when you drop down a spawn point. If you don't drop it down using the top handle, right? If you grab any of the other 3 handles for rotating the object, it makes a negative value on the compass direction. So like -86, right? So World Traffic 3 will drive up to that spot and it'll be like, what the hell is -86? I have no idea what that. There's no such thing as -86 on a compass, right? So what the AI will do, they'll walk up, they'll drive up, and they'll start doing donuts in the parking lot, and they won't stop.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they just do donuts in the parking lot. The first time I saw that, I was live streaming. I was like, what the hell is going on here? It's like watching Planes Ballerina. They were doing like a little dance together. I was like, this is a beautiful ballerina of airplanes. You go Southwest. Go Southwest. So, so over time I figured out how all this stuff works. And, like I said, I'm in touch with Greg, who's the developer of World Traffic 3. And I'm like, Greg, how does this work? How does your logic work in your programs? So because of that, I started to get, like, Mr. X hired me, and Axonos hired me and stuff. Vertical Stems has used me in the past to either set up their network or double check the quality of their network to make sure that it works. So that when you buy that $20, $30 airport, you're getting all your money's worth out of it instead of just 80% of it.
Wow, so that's something I didn't know. I didn't know that you had a hand.
Blue, did you know any of this? My mouth is open. Like, what? Really? Go ahead, Blue. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying I didn't know that you had your hand in on assisting some of these developers on making a more accurate, depiction of their route networks.
Yeah. Like I said, I started popping them out into the download section right on xplane.org, and people were like, "Oh, this is amazing! Your Boston is amazing! Oh, your San Diego is amazing!" Because all these airports didn't have any routes; they didn't work. And finally, developers started taking notice, and World Traffic 3 started to really, come into its own. The more features that Greg added and just made the program more solid and easier to use, the more developers started to go, I guess we need to start putting AI networks in there. And I was very vocal like 3 years ago when X-Plane 11 was first hit. Oh man, I was yelling, I was cursing at these people. I was like, what are y'all doing? Do your jobs. It's like, you guys aren't doing your jobs. This airport's incomplete. I want my money back.
Wow.
Give me back $5. Give me back $5 because I just had to do $5 of work for you. But after a while, I got the reputation, and so the likes of Mr. X and stuff, they started tapping me on the shoulder, going, "Hey, can you do my taxi network for Los Angeles," which is by far probably my biggest product to date. Wow. Xcoders Denver is my second biggest project I ever worked on. Both of those took over 2 weeks to program all that crap.
Yeah.
Which is why I bet you Mr. X and Xcoder were like, "Sucker, better you than me, sucker." So, it's a lot of fun. I'm one of those crazy OCD guys, so I love that stuff. I like sitting there and watching the AI slowly start to develop into something that looks like Los Angeles, right? If you've ever watched those live streams of people filming from LA and stuff, World Traffic 3 looks like that now in LA.
Wow.
Because of me.
Because
now you're making me want to go at least try it and give it a couple whirls instead of doing VATSIM every single day when I fly.
Well, here's the good thing, and two of my viewers last night, they were like, "Can you use World Traffic 3 while you're on VATSIM?" I'm like, hell yes, you can, because unless you're at an event. Okay, so here's my stance on VATSIM. A lot of people are like, "You don't fly on VATSIM every flight." No, I don't. Here's why. I like my airports to be alive. right?
Mhm.
And unless you're in an event where there's literally hundreds of players, your airport's going to have 2-3 planes maybe there, and it doesn't look realistic at all. So I use World Traffic 3 to supplement, or I just fly offline with Pilot to ATC, which is a fantastic program. It's full speech recognition, ATC. And it follows FAA regulations and all that stuff for VFR and IFR.
Wow.
So if you're scared of VATSIM, Sea-Dog, I'm looking at you, Sea-Dog. I know you're out there. If you're scared of getting on VATSIM, go buy Pilot to ATC and use that, because everything you learn using that program, you're going to use on VATSIM. So you won't be nervous anymore.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I feel like me and XP have continually gotten to a soft debate. It was never heated, nothing like that. Like a soft debate between AI and VATSIM, because you know when XP flies, he's got about 50 people with him, so it doesn't matter if he's in China. He can. It'll look pretty darn busy. But I'm like, but what if I'm flying midday? Everybody's gone or at work. I'm flying somewhere random, like you said, China. I think Africa is. I'm trying to think of the least touched areas. I'm in Africa, and maybe there even is ATC. That doesn't mean there's going to be a bunch of traffic. And so I'm in the same boat as you, K-Man, where I'm like, I love my AI traffic programs. On X-Plane, for me, is Traffic Global. I just recently got AIG working on Microsoft Flight Sim. Massive game changer for me so far. But I like to mix it. Like you said, your viewer was asking, can you do both? That's what I do every single stream. I have VATSIM. I got as many sources of traffic I can get. I got Microsoft multiplayer. I got VATSIM running. I got the freaking AI traffic going. I got everything going so I can make that airport feel as busy as possible. There's nothing like pushing back. I had this experience yesterday. Pushing back, and you're getting ready to taxi, and you're looking down the alley, and you see an airplane taking off in the view in the distance. And like, this feels alive. And then you see another plane taxiing next to you, like by you, going wherever he's going, right? Like, that is the real world airport experience, unless you are at some small regional airport during COVID. You know what I mean? So, like, for me, it's like I want it to be busy, so I'm glad we kind of went there. And also, I want to compliment you again on what you're doing on that AI work, because I've actually dabbled into scenery development a little bit myself in the past, and I know what it takes to make those AI networks, and you really got to be a special kind of person to do that, because it is really tedious. And I mean, you're literally like just drawing lines through every possible route that a plane can go. You got to make that route and name it correctly, so that go ahead.
Right, exactly. But not only that, but because X-Plane's built-in ATC is garbage.
Right.
I'm sorry, Laminar, it's garbage.
It is. We all know this. They know this.
Yeah, when you're programming the ground routes, you have to think like an AI, right? You have to think like you have to think like an air traffic controller. How are you going to get these planes to move back and forth without colliding with each other? Which is why WED has one-way directional taxiways. So you got to think about that, so that you can make one ways to control how the AI is going to flow through the airport, so you minimize head-on collisions, because immersion, right? It gets ruined. I mean, last night I plowed through 2 Delta planes, but I was okay with that because I don't like Delta. So I went through them. I went through them like crap through a goose, and I punched the AI pilots in the face as I drove through their planes. So that's the way it works and stuff. Oddly enough, one of my most successful streams was when I was done with Mr. X's LA. I went live at 3 a.m, my time, right? 3 a.m, and I put a X camera on top of the tower that slowly rotated around the airport. Every 5 minutes, the camera would do a complete revolution, and it would do that nonstop. And I let it run for 4 hours straight, because that's how I test it. And I was sitting there with Notepad, right, making notes on bad behavior and stuff. I had like 60 people watching me at 3 a.m. going, "This is awesome. This looks just like LA."
Wow.
I was like, "Go to bed, people. Why are y'all up?" I just did it on a whim. And it ended up like being one of my most successful streams and stuff. So
let's talk about. Planes. I was gonna say,
you invented Big Jet TV, basically.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
The original Big Jet TV, the original.
Right, true. That's good stuff.
I was gonna say, let's talk about, though, like you said, like it kind of was a very successful stream for you, and for, I guess, the people who are here watching or listening that may not know who Captain K-Man is, who the heck are you?
I'm just some guy that flies planes.
Is
I'm angry and I'm sodded and I'm bitter and mean, and that's why I have fire behind me, right? So that's kind of my reputation, right? Because I do a lot of reviews, right? I review products. I buy airports that nobody else would buy to review them. I don't want to drop any names, but I'm going to drop a name right now. Thai models. I'm looking at you. Okay. So I buy Thai models and Pearl Sim airports and stuff like that, which are not top of the line, right? They're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel sometimes, but I give them a fair and unbiased full review. We go from one end of the airport to the other, and we find the flaws, we find the good stuff, we find the bad stuff. And then I give it a rating, and I try to, based on my experience. I mean, I've been flight simming since 1982 when Microsoft was black and white. Okay, I just dated myself. I'm actually 20 years old. I stopped aging at 20, so just so you know.
All right.
Yeah, it's just.
No, I mean, look.
That's how I review it. I'm unbiased, but sometimes I get a little ranty, especially by. Let me give you an example. Can I give you an example?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, man.
Nimbus Studio just released Dulles International, right? Everybody's
wanna
waiting for that hot. We were waiting for that. We were waiting for this hot fire, right? Hot fire. Nimbus, pretty decent guy, right? He does pretty decent work on the X-Plane engine. He gave us Phoenix. He's given us Orlando.
Atlanta.
He gave us Atlanta. He's got his UH-1 Bell Huey flying around, right? So we were excited when he finally put down the UH-1 helicopter for 5 seconds, because that's all he's been working on for like a year and a half. And he decided to pick his scenery back up. And we're like, okay, he's releasing Dulles. I was like, cool. I went out and bought that monster, that big ass airport. I was like, cool, let's do this. And the first thing I spawn in, I'm like, okay, I just spent $30. That's really high. That's really high for an airport. But I've done it before. I mean, I've done it before on P3D with PacSim with their Salt Lake City. I spent $35 on that thing. For Salt Lake City. God, what was I? I need a girlfriend, man. What am I doing with my life? But
your Delta rival over there in Salt Lake City.
So I'm looking at this airport, and everybody's tuned into the live stream, and they're all like, okay, review this thing, K-Man. And I'm like, well, I've already knocked 10% off your score because AutoGate? Bro, AutoGate for a $30 airport? What the hell are you doing, Nimbus? It ain't like you can't afford the $170 license to put Sam Jetways in there. Sam is the thing now, right? AutoGate's old busted. Sam is new hotness. Yeah. Right? But Sam has a licensing fee, unfortunately, but they got to make a living too. And it's like $170 for a large scale airport like that. But you can't tell me you can't afford $170. You have to spend money to make money. That's how business works. And by cheaping out and putting in AutoGate, it's just right there that turned off a lot of people. A lot of people were like, ooh, AutoGate, I don't want to buy this for $30 for AutoGate. And then we started looking at the texturing. We're like, okay, buildings look pretty, texture's 4K, but what the hell's wrong with the ground? Why does everything look like it's a tic-tac-toe board and repetitive? So we tore into that. And then he made the decision to make 3D trees across the entire airport, which made my performance go into the toilet. So I've already gone and fixed all that. I ripped out all those 3D trees, put in regular X-Plane trees that actually change with the seasons, right? Because Sam does seasonal work.
Right.
And I might rip out his AutoGate and put Sam in there, but there's a lot of gates at Dulles International.
Yes, there is.
But I look at this and I'm like, I gave my honest opinion. I was like, good here, bad here. The artwork is good here. It's not so good here. The AI is doing okay, but it's still broken. It doesn't work correctly. A lot of these gates are twisted backwards, right? They have the negative value, which means the AI is going to drive up and start doing donuts in the parking lot if people are using World Traffic 3. And I looked at this and I'm like, $30, bro? No, this airport might be $21.99 in its current state, but no, $30. The airport's not done. It's not, and it's not done because I'm pretty mean on developers. My philosophy is if you're a developer and you're making a 3D airport, anything inside the airport's perimeter fence better have a 3D model. Okay, I don't care if it's a little shack on the backside of the hill or a giant terminal. Dulles is missing major buildings. It's missing medium-sized buildings, and it's missing small buildings all over the place. They're generally their cargo ramp is a generic. It's not actually a 3D modeled rendering of the actual cargo ramp. It's a facade. It's just a regular old drop down your little autogen facade, and boom, there's
Wow.
Right. And I'm just like $30, dude. And I'm watching Vertical over here, right? Vertical's a good friend of mine, and he released Tampa, right? One of his best works. He spent 2 years on that, and he sold it. He way undersold himself on that one. And I wanted to slap him in the face and be like, bro, dude, this is a major ass airport in Florida. Why are you selling it for this? And then you got, Nimbus pops out with a $30, and it's nowhere near the quality of what Vertical did on like Tampa or his new Boise scenery and his new
Syracuse.
Syracuse. Yeah, they just came out. So, and I'm just like, okay, guys, can y'all start stepping up?
Yep.
If you're in this game to make the money, then make the money, because I was disappointed. I expected more.
We need it. Look, if you guys ever never watch a Captain K-Man stream, you need to. You need to go on Twitch and go watch him stream and live stream, because you get what you're getting here for 4 hours straight nonstop. And it's entertaining.
I don't know. Is that good or bad?
It's good. I'm screaming the whole time. I'm laughing, going, yeah. Blue over here is thinking the same thing, going, man, I wanted somebody to come on the show this long to talk about this stuff, because we've been holding back on it.
Yeah.
But it's true, man.
Oh God, Vertical's in the chat channel.
Yeah, he is.
Stop talking about him. I don't want him to throw himself off a bridge. He nearly lost his mind finishing up Syracuse.
I want to continue in that direction for a bit though about scenery, because I'm glad that you are as picky and blunt about scenery as I feel. And I felt like since Microsoft Flight Sim has come in, I feel like we are less acceptable to scenery BS and scenery BS prices. So what do you feel is kind of the state of the scenery for, I know you've been talking a lot about X-Planes, so we can continue there, but like, what do you think the state of like scenery is as a whole that are coming in from developer? Do you think it's good quality? Do you think they're stepping it up? Do you think they're overpricing it, lower pricing it? And this is particularly the X-Plane, but you can also talk about Microsoft too.
Yeah. So X-Plane scenery, for the most part, people are usually in the correct price range, right? For me, I got a list of stuff that needs to be in the airport based on the price point that they're trying to offer the airport. Is it a single strip runway, right? Okay, right there, I'm not paying $24.99 for an airport that has one runway. Okay, I'm just not doing it. How big is the airport? How many airlines are operating at this airport? Those are some of the things I decide. Then I start looking at the quality of the airport. How's the 3D modeling? Did they do the air conditioners? Did they do the gutters, the ladders and stuff? It's the little details there. Because the little details is what makes the airport look real, right? So if they start doing that, they start earning points. Did they do an AI network? Are the gates assigned properly? Am I going to see AI traffic pop in without me having to go in here and spend time fixing it? Which, by the way, back on that one more time, I harp on AI a lot because that's my area of expertise in scenery development. I'm just like, some of these airports literally take 30 minutes to do. You're telling me you couldn't take 30 minutes out of your day to put this in here before you release this to the store for $24.99? Get out of here. Get out of here. But X-Plane scenery has slowed way down, unfortunately, because we all know what happened. They all went over to Microsoft for that easy money, right? They're over there on that easy money. And Microsoft, okay, so first off, I gotta tell you this.
Oh,
I don't call it Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Take a sip.
Take a sip. Who's the big Microsoft fan here? Which of you two is the bigger Microsoft fan?
Blue was, and I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid now after 2 years. But
I'm bringing you back. Listen, you can't have XP on your hat and love Microsoft more than XP. You can't do that to me. All right. So I have a loving nickname for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I just call it Microsoft Scenery Simulator. Because come on, you got to be honest with yourself. The planes that we currently have, not the ones that are coming, but the ones we currently have, they're all junk. They fly like paper airplanes. They don't have any weight to them. They're too loosey-goosey on the controls. They just feel like I'm flying a remote controlled. It feels like I'm playing a video game, which oddly enough, Microsoft won Game of the Year. And I'm like, that's appropriate because that's what this is. It's an Xbox game. It's not a flight simulator yet. PMDG might change that. Phoenix might change that. We got Any Builds bringing their 300 series over. So maybe these guys will do it. But because of the way that X-Plane and Microsoft do their flight modeling, they are infinitely different from each other. And X-Plane has a huge advantage. And they're going to be taking that into X-Plane 12. So they're still going to have an advantage over Microsoft because they're using actual real aerodynamic engineering type tools to get the simulation of the wind moving over the surfaces, which is why all the planes feel so much heavier. They feel weightier in the X-Plane platform than they do over in Microsoft. But Microsoft, you can't deny, everything on the ground in Microsoft is freaking gorgeous. Everything above the ground in the sky up, not so much. It's not so much. But, and I joke with Vertical all the time, because we both say that it's like, because of the way that Microsoft renders their scenery, you can make a dog turd look beautiful. You can make a dog turd look beautiful in that simulator, right? Because a lot of airports, the developers that we've never heard of, right? Just dozens of developers you never heard of, just boom, showed up out of nowhere as soon as Microsoft released. You know, and you know, some of them are really high quality, some of them are decent, some of them are like, why are you here? Go play Mario Kart or something. You should not be on this platform. You're just hurting it. And but I'm kind of mad at Microsoft because they've taken all the developers over there because they're making that easy money. And one of the reasons why Microsoft scenery is also cheaper, right? Because, you know, if you go apples to apples, oranges to oranges, X-Plane scenery tends to be a little bit pricier. But that's because X-Plane developers have to do all the scenery, right? Whereas Microsoft's doing all of the work for you around the airport. With the Black Shark AI. So that's why they lower their price tag, because they don't have to waste any time 3D modeling hotels or parks or any of that other crap that's around the airport, because Black Shark's doing that for you already, which is great, right? You save a lot of money because, you know, that $24.99 San Francisco that was over on P3D, right, for an example, just switching over to P3D is, you know, only $14 on Microsoft. And it's exactly because they don't have to waste man hours doing texturing work and 3D modeling for all the extra buildings around there. But when Vertical, for example, has to do like Tampa, and he's doing not just the airport, but he's doing the mall and the stadiums and the downtown buildings and all that, that takes a lot of extra work to make X-Plane look pretty. Because out of the box, X-Plane is ugly. It's like the ugliest girl on the block, and you know,
not as ugly as P3D.
I don't even. You know what? It's true. P3D's a little uglier.
She ain't too pretty. She ain't too pretty.
Well, no. P3D used to be uglier until P3D had True Sky. True Sky actually makes P3D look better out of the box without any mods, right? No modifications, no scenery, no cloud packs, none of that crap.
So True Sky is not a mod.
True Sky is built into the engine, so it's part of their weather engine now. So, and it does pretty nice looking clouds now with the newest version of it. And speaking of clouds, I have to derail. I do not like Microsoft's cloud engine. It gets it right sometimes, but thunderstorms. Can we talk about thunderstorms in Microsoft for a second? Yeah. Okay. Why does every thunderstorm, no matter how small or how big, why does every one of them look like Mount Vesuvius erupted? And there's just this huge volcanic ash cloud raining down over the entire Earth with lightning shooting out of it. And every thunderstorm in Microsoft is like the most powerful, deadly looking storm I've ever seen. I'm just like, I don't want to take off right now. My plane's going to die.
It looks ominous, like you're going to die,
Yeah. Well, then the best part is you plunge into that thunderstorm, right, in your little Cessna, and nothing happens to you because Microsoft has no thunderstorm turbulence modeled yet. So I'm just like, well, it looked menacing, but haha, I win, Microsoft, you lose. So I hope that they're supposed to be doing improvements. I think the problem is the scale on their clouds. Their scale is too big. They need to scale their clouds down a little bit, their cloud renderer, so the clouds don't look so menacing. Because they look like ash clouds. They just looks like a volcano erupted. You know, I actually I disrespect all the time because I use XEnviro for my weather engine on X-Plane, and their clouds consistently look better than what Microsoft's pumping out. Microsoft has more variety, right? Because it can do more layering, can do up to 60 layers of clouds. But like overcast, rain conditions, fog, and all that, I'll take XEnviro in X-Plane over Microsoft's default system any day of the week. But that's kind of the world of scenery for me. X-Plane, I hope, bounces back when X-Plane 12 pops out because they have a new render API also, so buildings are going to look better. That's the problem. Like Vertical and I were discussing it when he converted some of his scenery over to Microsoft, right? It looks so much different. Right? It's the same 3D models, right? Because all you got to do is transfer your 3D models that you did in Blender over and then retexture them using, you know, Microsoft's way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
But because the render APIs are so different, the X-Plane rendition looks dull and lifeless because we're just missing like glass colors and glass reflections and the way light bounces off of concrete and the way it bounces off of painted walls and steel and stuff like that is infinitely better looking in Microsoft because of the way that they have a modern rendering engine, where X-Plane is still basically using X-Plane 10 technology to render visual effects like that. They put in a little bit of PBR, physical based rendering, right, into X-Plane 11, but it still looks off. It just looks flat. And everything in Microsoft, like I said, it can make a turd look pretty because of the way it renders it. It just has more depth to it, more visual depth to it.
So it's the rendering engine then, because I was trying to figure out like what makes Microsoft look like it does. Some people say cartoonish, some people say real. It's the rendering engine that's doing it, basically.
Correct. I've heard that debate, and I do agree. I think out of the box, it's too bright. Microsoft's a little too bright, but that's why I have Reshade attached to it. Though Reshade allows me to edit their API and override it with my own shaders, so that I can dull down the colors a little bit and make it look a little bit more realistic and less like. I mean, the greens are really green in Microsoft, and half the world's green, right? So it's just like that's some bright green. Holy crap!
So what do you think with X-Plane 12? I mean, how big of an upgrade do you think it is? Have they solved a lot of the issues that we currently have in X-Plane 11? That you think from what you've seen in the previews? Because like we talk about rendering engine and whatnot, and from what I've seen, I don't see a render engine upgrade much in 12. I see a lot of special effects based on the engine we're already using. Is what I'm seeing. I don't know. I'm not that technical. I don't really know. But what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm not under a non-disclosure agreement because I'm not part of their alpha beta team. However, I will not name any names. I have been privy to private live streams of the alpha version of X-Plane 12. There are improvements. The atmospheric particularly looks much better, and they now have 3D volumetric cloud standard. You don't have to buy a program anymore. And the way that they're doing their weather engine is actually pretty intuitive. They look at the entire global model before they start rendering weather in the simulator. Of course, this all happens in a split second, right? But they can look at the global picture of the planet, and that's how they start rendering their weather based on a global outlook. And it's constantly monitoring this global weather. So technically, if they get it right, it's got some problems. The cloud generation has a little bit of work to do. Remember, it's an alpha, though. If they get it done, you're not going to need a weather program to run anything. Default X-Plane 12 will be good enough. It'll be on par with what Microsoft currently spits out, if not better looking, because the clouds aren't exaggerated. I saw thunderstorms for the first time ever in X-Plane.
Oh boy!
And I was like, yes, that looks pretty. And then I looked to the right and I was like, oh my God, that looks horrible. Because they haven't tweaked it yet. So I was just okay, that looks terrible. But man, that thunderstorm, because it actually had a real anvil head on it and everything. I was just like, that's awesome looking. I was like, okay, that's a thunderstorm. X-Plane 11 can't do that. It can't make a thunderstorm to save its life. So, which sucks, right? Because that's part of aviation. And Laminar and Austin in particular, I don't know why, but they've had this aversion to doing realistic weather in their simulator because they're like, oh, well, it's a flight simulator. Well, I'm like, yeah, but weather's 50% of flying, bro. We need thunderstorms. We need wind shear. We need horrible turbulence and, bad weather and tsunamis and everything else that we can throw at you because these things affect aviation, right? And they've just ignored it. They've ignored it. Same thing with seasons. It's like, people fly in winter and fall, right? We don't always fly in summer and spring. Oh, well, it's not important. All that matters is the PT6 engine. It seems like Austin's always tweaking the PT6 simulation every 5 seconds. I'm just like, bro, drop the PT6 and work on the rest of the simulator, man. You're getting left in the dirt by Microsoft, at least visually. It's like your flight model's already good. You don't need to work on that. And it looks like they finally listened to the community because, we have new 3D trees. They're not rendering 2D trees anymore. It's all 3D, and it does react to the wind, so you can actually see all the leaves and stuff rustling in the trees. I don't know how that's going to affect people on older hardware. It might be time to upgrade to that 3080, 3090 boys and girls. 4090. Or the 4090 when that 4090 pops out. But the atmospherics are different. The fog rendering is different. It's more realistic. Volumetric lighting is now standard. So when you turn on your landing lights stuff in the fog, you'll see your beams cutting through the mist and stuff. So that's in there. The way they rendered glass looks different to me now, and the way that they render metal materials, PBR and stuff like that, still looks different. The whole thing still runs on Vulkan, which makes me sad. It makes me sad because I'm not an AMD guy. Vulkan is an AMD API, and while it does work on GeForce cards, NVIDIA cards. That's fine. The NVIDIA card users are never going to get as much as an AMD video card user is going to get, because Vulkan is native to AMD video cards, whereas DirectX 11 and 12 is native to NVIDIA, which is why if you have an NVIDIA card on Microsoft, you should be getting some damn good frame rates if you have a 3080 plus.
Right.
Even in 4K, you should be easily approaching 60 frames per second. I stream on a ultra wide, like curved monitor, and X-Plane completely punches me in the face if I try to go full screen. And it's just like, what are you thinking, bro? It's like, I can't do this. I'm like, and then I'll do the exact same thing in Microsoft, and Microsoft's running almost 60 FPS. Wow. With all that scenery and all that autogen and trees down below me. And I'm like, X-Plane 12, you need to compete with this. So that's where I'm kind of questioning. I was like, how much performance enhancement are you getting out of it? It's nice that you're making everything pretty, but if making everything pretty sacrifices even more performance than we're already losing in the X-Plane 11 engine, I'm just going to bite on a stick and hope that the PMDG 737 is awesome, and I'm going to move full time over to Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I'm a big X-Plane guy, but I can be bought. Okay, I can be bought. I have my price. All right, Captain K-Man has his price. Okay, I can be bought. So
Here's a question for you. Based on what you just said, how much work do you think X-Plane 11 developers have to put into their scenery? I haven't even got to airplanes yet, but just scenery for X-Plane 12, if any work at all. What would you say?
So what Laminar is promising is that most of your airport scenery should be able to transfer right over, no problem. But developers are still going to have to do a little bit of upgraded work. They're going to have to kind of redo some of their normal maps for their PBR material and stuff like that to take advantage of the new glass renderer and stuff like that. So that the buildings look a little more Microsoft levels of pretty, right? So so they are going to have to do a little bit of work, but supposedly all that's supposed to work. They even said most of your planes are supposed to work in X-Plane 12 with some minor adjustments. Some planes might have a lot of bugs in them. Some of them might work right out of the box. Just depends on how complicated. I suspect the general aviation planes are going to work much better than like your Flight Factor 7.5, 7.6s, which rely heavily on SASL code and stuff to operate. So a lot of that's going to probably we're going to have to wait for patches and stuff.
Well, I just saw a tweet yesterday from Flight Factor saying that their 7.5 and 7.6 is supposed to work on day one. Apparently they've been testing it already. So
excellent flight factor. Yeah, I love your plane's flight factor. Well, most of them. Your A320 can burn in hell.
I was just gonna say, and the A322 is gonna work. So they did say that.
I want to love their A320. I do, but it's such a performance killer. It's just so bad.
Go back and watch. We had Ramses on the shows back talking about their entire lineup and the version 2 is coming, but he talked about the A320 and why is it in the state it was, and it's because of the original developer of it, and and they're slowly trying to change it over to get it to where it's not such a performance hog anymore as it used to be. So hopefully they'll ever get there one day. I don't know, man, we'll see.
Well, we need that. Yeah, episode 8. I'll go back and watch that one.
There you go.
We in the Airbus family line, I want my FS Labs. Nobody does the Airbus better than FS Labs. Unfortunately, it's stuck on the P3D engine. But if you want an actual A320, A321, A319 trainer that you can use for training purposes, FS Labs is the standard. And unfortunately, Flight Factor ain't it. Tolus ain't it. And the fly-by-wire freeware modded A320 on Microsoft definitely ain't it. So I would love to see FS Labs quality. Is Phoenix going to bring something to the table?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this company before, but I have hopes. Some people are already complaining about their texture work, though. It's like, looks like the buttons are all melted, like they're made out of melted plastic. And I'm like, it doesn't bother me. It looks okay. Like, no, that's not how they look in the real Airbus. I was like, well, I mean, I don't have a magnifying glass either. Are you really getting that close to the buttons that it bothers you that much? I was like, come on, give them a little bit of a chance. It looks okay.
Wow. See, here's my head-to-head competition. When the PMDG drops from Microsoft, I want to compare it flight model-wise to the Zibo. Just
exactly.
Curious.
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to buy the PMDG 737 for the fourth time. Oh my God.
Fourth time, man.
Wow.
So are you guys still gonna get that discount?
Right?
That discount
I don't think I'm eligible for it because I bought my NGX before the date that they said. So I have to pay full price for to ride that ride. So that's why when I get it and I load up in Microsoft, if it doesn't fly as good as the P3D version or better, I'm going to take that plane and I'm going to fly it into PMDG's headquarters and be like, no, no, bad PMDG, and I don't want to hear the excuse, the SDK isn't sophisticated enough. Well, then you shouldn't have released the plane. So that's the one thing that I'm afraid of. Developers are so eager to get that money, right? That early money from the 2 million plus people that bought a copy of Microsoft, right? Jeez. They want that money, right? They want that hard money, that they're cutting corners, leaving out features, skipping stuff, or just outright, just leaving stuff out of the product. And with the promise of, don't worry, we'll add it later with a patch. And I'm like, no, because am I the only one, even chat can chime in on this one, am I the only one that thinks just simulation in general, right? Flight simulation in general is beta. We never leave beta. We never leave beta. Yeah. We're always in beta. X-Plane, Microsoft, doesn't matter, P3D, we're always in beta. Either the plane's beta, the utilities we're using are beta, the scenery is beta, or needs to have, stuff added. Don't worry, we'll add it later. I'm just like,
I feel like the whole gaming industry is in early access.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, whatever evil, devil-worshipping company came up with the green light system on Steam, come green light our game. We'll give you 20% of the game to play now, and we'll develop it over the next 5 years, and maybe you might get to the game.
Star Citizen.
I think that is the most evil gaming industry model that was ever developed. I can't stand it. I don't buy green light games anymore. I wait for the actual product to be done.
Yeah.
I just stop because I'm always disappointed. And I feel like I lost my money. And some games just feel like they've been in development forever. Star Citizen, and it's like
I think that came about with the fact that now you download all your games versus having to buy it in a hard box because they can't update it after they ship it on a CD or whatever. Now they can just update it every week, every 2 weeks, and make it a mandatory update, by the way. Once you sort out your sim and you're good, all of a sudden, here's a mandatory one that you have to take, and it's going to break everything that you just did. So good luck to you. I don't understand that.
Yeah, that SU8 that just came out for Microsoft? The one whose main bullet point was fixed a majority of crashes. Guess what? I haven't done a successful flight yet since I installed that patch.
That's crazy.
I've only lasted 30 minutes has been my longest. And I've from SU1, from the first patch through number 7, I've never had the flightstim.exe is not responding window pop up in my face ever. But now I go to SU8 and now I get it every flight and I don't know what it is. I have removed all my custom scenery. I removed all my custom planes, all my modified planes.
Dang.
Even my boy Pigeon tried to do Fort Lauderdale to Miami. I mean, what is that? That's like 5 seconds, 5-minute flight. He crashed after he took off. Just like, crash. I was just like, well, I'm glad it's not me for once. I'm cursed in the community. I'm known for stuff happening to me and nobody else. Like I'll start getting errors. X-Plane will bomb out. This will be wrong, and I go to Google it. And there's nothing. And I'm like, so I'm the only person on all of planet Earth that this is happening to. It drives me insane. You see my gray hair? This is from X-Plane. This is from 3 years of X-Plane. This is this gray hair, all right?
Yeah, poor Pigeon.
There he is. Okay, he was going to Orlando. There it is. He crashed on takeoff.
My God. Yeah.
My crashes have been in the Kodiak, right? My favorite plane that I've bought. That plane is pretty good. The X-Plane 11 one's better, though. I threw it out there. Shots fired. Shots fired. but they're pretty close. They're visually and auditorily, sound wise, they're very close to each other. But X-Plane's got the flight model. So that Kodiak, the shape of the Kodiak is actually interacting correctly with the wind that's passing over it. Whereas Microsoft is using data reference points all along the surfaces, right? The control surfaces, and data is being fed to those of a simulation of what would happen. So it's kind of like it's a simulation of a simulation, right? If that makes sense. It's
somebody finally explained to me what they use as flight modeling. Okay.
Listen. Okay. Disclaimer, I might be talking absolute shit. I may be wrong, but the way I understand it, that's what it feels like to me. It feels like we're simulating a simulation, and then the plane's taking that simulated data and applying it to the control surfaces. And what you end up with is something that's flown with an Xbox game controller. And I'm just like, no. No. Oh, that's my other running joke too, by the way, about Microsoft. The whole reason why they made Microsoft Flight Simulator isn't for aviation fans. They made it so they could sell Xbox controllers. That's why they made it.
Thank you.
That's why they made it.
Saying that is an Xbox game that they're now making it work for PC people, or we beta tested it then, basically. That's what I've always said.
The drone camera is the biggest pile of dog doo-doo I've ever seen in the history.
I love that camera, actually. I love that camera.
No. Let me ask you.
I'm taking a stand right here. I'm on Team Drone.
Did you buy an Xbox game controller so you could steer the drone around your plane?
Yes.
I might have, yes.
My case stands. Microsoft's made to sell Xbox game controllers.
Oh my god.
Because of that drone camera.
The only reason I bought an Xbox controller.
Me too. I went out and picked one up just because.
I think, it's that Microsoft partnership. That's what it is.
That's 100% what it is. Listen, the drone camera, it gets the job done, I guess, but the limited number of cameras that I can set up compared to like X camera, which has over 999 cameras can be set up, right? Why would you ever make that many cameras? Who knows? But I like the diversity. I like to be able to put, if I want to put a camera in the wheel well on the front of my A320 so that when I lower the landing gear, I switch to that camera, I can see all the doors and stuff opening. I want to be able to do that. Yeah. You cannot do that right now in Microsoft. You're limited to 10 cameras. And then your drone camera. That's about what you get. We don't have a chase plane. We don't have a flyby. We don't have an orbit cam. We don't have a cinematic camera. We don't have any physical effects like chase plane used to do on P3D. That's what everybody's begging for. Everybody's been screaming at Asobo, please unlock the camera system so Parallel 42 can port their chase plane product over into the Microsoft platform. If they had that over there, that would be a game changer for Microsoft.
Yeah, that's something I never understood why they did the camera system the way they did it. Because I'm in the same boat as you. I freaking love X camera, and I use about 50 of those slots on there. Matter of fact, there's been times on X camera it was like you can't add anymore because I've used them all. Doing reviews or trailers or whatever. Like I literally used them all using all the stuff you could do. So like the fact that they have it locked in, developers, like one thing that really bothers me is when you want to make a custom camera view, you just move your camera to the left of the cockpit and you get stuck in the window. You can't even, like, it's like this big bounding box. And you have to go through the freaking text file and do some modding to actually get your camera out of the view and make your own custom wing views. That's ridiculous.
It's absolute. Why does an end user have to know programming language to be able to set up a wing view? It's just, it just blows my mind that they decided to do that, and that they're so adamant right now about not unlocking that camera system so that third-party developers can actually do something. Because I'm going to be honest right now, you have to agree with this. Third-party devs will always do it better than the actual original developer.
Oh yeah, agreed.
They will, because they don't have a deadline that's being cracked by a whip over their shoulder from their Microsoft overlords, right? They have their own drum that they march to, so they're able to focus on that. It's the same thing with other games like Skyrim, right? Skyrim, arguably one of the best role-playing games ever created for PC and for PlayStation, all that other stuff, right? But the mod community comes along, and they put all the stuff in there that should have been in there to begin with.
Yeah.
But Bethesda had a date because they got their overlords, right? To say we got to get this out by 11/11/11, right? That was the original release date for that game. And they're like, we got to hit that date because it's a marketing gimmick. And so they have to make decisions to leave stuff out. Cyberpunk 2077 is a great example of promising us the world and giving us a little tiny piece of it. And it's just like 8 years for this.
We were supposed to have multiplayer this year or last
CD
year.
Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Fire all yourselves. Like fire your management. Don't fire the artists. Fire the managers.
You want to hear something that's funny and meme-worthy? I saw a Microsoft official video on YouTube or somewhere, or maybe it was a picture on one of the social media sites. They literally had a wing view. And I'm like, wait a minute, Microsoft. This wing view that you're showing, it's not in the game. You can't get it in one of your camera views. You have to go create that by editing a text file to get it. Why are you showing that to people like they can do that? Just like that. They can't. I was like, wow, that's so wrong. That is so wrong that they did that. I was like, you don't have that wing view in the game. I know all the views, and that's not one of them. The ones you set was stupid.
It's just as bad as movie trailers that show all this crazy footage, like these Marvel movie trailers, right? It's like, oh, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, blah. And then you watch the movie, and you're like, where the hell is the scenes that was in the trailer? Oh, it must be on the Blu-ray. It must be on the Blu-ray release, you know? I hate it when they do that. I hate when games do that, you know? Ubisoft is notorious for doing that. They'll like show their E3 trailers, right? Of, you know, here's our new Rainbow Six Siege game. And you're like, good God, that's the most beautiful game I've ever seen. And then it comes out and you're like, what is this pile of shit? This is not what you showed us at E3. You liars. You liars. Yeah. Somebody did a great YouTube video. Anybody can look it up that shows side-by-side comparisons, same scenes, same everything. Ubisoft's E3 trailer versus actual in-game footage.
Oh my God.
Move for move, and you're just like, wow. You can see how much they cut corners. You can see how much they cut corners to get the game out the door, right? So Siege was terrible. The hacking game, I can't remember the hacking game. They made two of them.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
I still haven't seen the trailers that Microsoft dropped 2 years ago when they came out with the game. I still haven't seen the game look like that yet, with the flamingos flying by and the water. I still haven't seen that yet. I'm just saying. I've seen some good views. Don't get me wrong. I've wowed at it coming in. Wow, look at this. You know, but still.
My guess is that was very highly localized scenery that they had their developers pour all their time and energy into just for the trailer. And so if you go to the exact spot in the trailer, you might see what you saw in the trailer if you go to the exact spot that they filmed it at. So, but you know, hey, they're giving us world updates.
Perfect example is that area of Microsoft Flight Sim where you do the Discovery flight that they created. Like, you have like these big areas where they put a lot of focus into scenery in this one area. Like, it looks amazing. You pop in there like a Cessna with floats, and you're just like, oh my God. And then you go to the island next to it, and it's like FSX.
Jesus. Oh no. Man.
It's like the Wizard of Oz when they tear back the curtain and there's the wizard behind it and he's just this old man. You're like, that is not what I was expecting. That is not it. That is not it.
Laminar and Microsoft Flight Sim needs to hire you for quality control. You should be the last guy for any product before it goes out the door.
I agree.
You'd be like, return, this is shit.
They probably hate me because I'm so brutally honest. I'm just brutally honest. So that's kind of the story about the logo. That's where the fire comes from. Because when I review stuff, I'm raging, ranting.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at your Twitch channel and also your YouTube channel. And I need you to do a K-Man 5-minute review or a 10-minute review on things, on stuff. Just on YouTube, just drop it. I would watch that in a second any day, man.
I used to do that. I used to do that, but man, real life.
I know.
It takes a lot of time to like keep your social media running. And I tried for 3 years to just become godlike on Twitch, right? And I got to about 85, 90 viewers on average. And then I just burned out. And then I had to move into the house that I live in now. It wasn't an apartment. And so I was offline for several months because the internet here wasn't ready and it sucked and all that. And so I lost a huge amount of user base. And then I took like another month off just for me, right, to enjoy the new house and not have to deal with that. And then I came back and it's like, oh, you're back. You know, and like 20 people showed up to the party where there used to be 90 people showing up to the party, you know, and I'm just like, I remember when he took a break. I was like, what happened to K-Man? And then you came back, and I was like, good.
But this community is unforgiving, man. You go away for like 2 weeks, they're like, "Who are you again?" We moved on to the new thing over here. You know?
Seriously though, let's make a switch real quick and talk about that, because I want to kind of go into get to know you more and your stream story. So like, you were grinding it out, you said, and so why did you burn out? Like, what kind of like brought you to burnout, and what did you learn from getting to a burnout situation to leaving because of life and then coming back and then continuing, like getting your momentum back? Like, how did that whole process go? Like, because it happened, I'm sure, over a long period of time, but like looking back at it, how did you make it through that, and how did it affect you?
Okay. Serious talk mode.
You ain't gotta be serious. Mode. You can make it a joke.
Okay. I'm trying not to make a joke here. I'm actually being serious here.
Just be yourself. You're good.
Depression is a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It is a disease. It's the same as any other disease. It's like a cancer, right? Almost. And so as COVID was plowing through everything and the fear mongering and the sky's falling, and we're all going to die. On top of that, my roommate moved out to move into this house, right? And I had to stay behind for another 6 months by myself, isolated. And so the demons get into your head, You start being like, why am I doing this? It's like, this isn't fun anymore. This feels like a job. This is supposed to be a hobby, right? It feels like a job. And then you got that going through your head on top of depression. My life sucks. Boo-hoo. I wish I was somewhere else and someone else and all that stuff. You just depression makes you shut down. I mean, that's what it does. You just shut down. You don't want to do anything. You don't get anything done. And, people are like, oh, you'll be okay. It's like, no, unless you actually have real depression, you don't really understand how destructive it can be. Yeah. I mean, it kills people, right? Real depression kills people. So, I actually almost got to that point once. This was years ago, but I actually had a gun in my hand. Wow. At one point, sitting on the edge of my bed. After I'd lost my job and my fiance walked out on me, and all that good stuff. And, I didn't have any support group with me. I had nothing. So I started waking up and you got that voice in your head, right? Like, why get up? Just stop. And thankfully, my dad was paying attention. So he got me the help I needed. So that was good. But all that just makes you burn out after a while. And it seemed like the harder I was grinding on Twitch, right, I could never get the average up to 75 viewers, right? You can't get to the next level on Twitch unless you have consistent average of 75 people. You cannot apply for partnership. And I'm over here watching people, right, that have only been streaming for like 5 months, where I've been at this for like 2.5 years, and boom, they're partner all of a sudden. And I'm like, why? And, I don't want to be like disrespectful. I'm not going to name any names and stuff, but I go and I watch the stream to see what they're doing differently than me. And I'm watching them and I'm like, this is boring as fuck. It's like, is that what the flight sim community wants? Is dull, lifeless people that just are boring to watch? I was like, this is what you want, because this isn't me. I try to be funny and stuff. Even when I was like suffering through all that, I never put that on the camera, right? Yeah. I always was like Robin Williams, right? You never knew that Robin Williams was suffering so bad, right? Yep. Every time you saw him, he was always making jokes and stuff because that's how he coped with his stuff. So I kind of put on the same face. And so nobody ever really knew what was going on when the camera switches off and stuff. Yeah. And so after a while, it's just like, everybody's blowing by me, and then you start to think, oh, it's because of my age, right? Because I'm a lot older than a lot of streamers are, right? I'm 49 right now, or about to be 49. So I don't look it though. I don't look it though, all right?
I'm a junior.
I'm freaking beautiful, all right? I'm beautiful. We're 900 years old. You good? Look as good you will not. So, but yeah, it just became a grind, and YouTube, because I was putting so much time into Twitch, my YouTube channel just started to suffer, right? Because Twitch is like, oh, you're part of us now. You can't do anything on YouTube now. You can't live stream on YouTube, because I was live streaming to multiple platforms, right? But then I became an affiliate, and Twitch is like, oh, you can't do that anymore because we won't pay you, and so I was like a hooker. I wanted my money. I wanted my money for my service. All right. So, I went with the money instead of went with the fun, went with the hobby. And so it started to become a second job. And I already have a full-time job. I didn't want a second job, right? I wanted to have fun. And then on top of that, we went through a rough period in X-Plane, right, where it's just, hey, we released 11.30 patch, crash. Like it's like, nothing makes me sound like Donald Duck quicker than a flight that crashes when you're on final after 5 hours in the air. Oh man, I sound just like Donald Duck too. I've almost thrown this keyboard across the room twice, and my monitor's almost been punched in half. So, anger management issues, maybe. It's okay. I take medication now for all of my problems. It's fantastic. Yes. To be fair, though, anybody that's actually suffering here, PSA, anybody who's actually suffering depression, anxiety, and stuff like that, get some help. Don't keep it in, because you can't solve it yourself. You will not be able to solve it yourself. You have to have.
And don't get into live streaming.
Yeah, Dad, don't get into live streaming. That'll murder you. So,
No, I'm really glad you shared that story, and I want you. That's why I was kind of asking you to go a little deep, because I know, I actually know of some people who are watching. Not gonna say anybody's name, but I've heard stories and DMs, stuff like that, of the stuff people are going through, and they're going through some of the same things we're doing, which we just don't show this part of us on camera, right? Because we don't want to showcase that or publicize that, stuff like that. We want to keep it personal because it's our personal life, and we're dealing with that, right? I had definitely a very similar thing going on, because I lost my mom last year, so I was really going through a dark time, but I kept doing my thing, kept streaming. But I know there's people who need to hear that, so never be ashamed to share your story.
Yeah, some people are like ashamed. I see a psychiatrist, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, aren't you afraid to tell people?" Hell no.
No.
They're a professional. They deal with mental health issues, especially men. Men's mental health in America and the UK is so taboo to talk about. Men's suicide rate and stuff, especially in the UK, is ridiculous. That's why one of the charities that I donate to is the guys that fly in the full-size cockpit. They do this almost every year, and they stream from the UK. Full-size cockpit, they stream for 24, 48 hours straight.
Yeah, it's a world flight.
Yeah, and they always do a cause, and they did a cause, which was suicide prevention for men in the United Kingdom. And I was like, here's $500, go with it. So so I'm all about this stuff. As somebody who used to be suicidal, I'm all about.
It was just the U.S. with that stat with men and suicide rates. I didn't know it was UK as well.
Yeah,
because we observe our pressure. We never talk about it. We never tell anybody that we're going through anything, because we're men. We're tough, whatever. But I'm glad the way you just said it. Like, hey, what's the big deal? I'm seeing a psychiatrist. They're helping me. I'm good. I'm happy for it.
I'm a big advocate of men's mental health, because it's not talked about. It's taboo, because we're taught, especially here in America, right? I mean, not so much now, but my generation is, you got to repress all this stuff, because if you let it out, you're a pussy, right? I'm just like,
shut up and deal with it. Yeah.
Shut up and deal with it. And it's like, sometimes it's a problem. Like in my case, it's because my brain has a chemical imbalance, and the medication I take balances that out so that my mood swings don't go on a roller coaster ride of super happy and then, God, I want to kill myself, right? Nobody can live like that. You can't live like that in a sustained fashion. Eventually you'll give into the dark side, and that's the end of that. And now you've done a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So, I encourage anybody who's like really suffering from like mental anxiety and breakdown, stuff like that, seek professional help. It's out there. There's quite a bit of it.
Definitely. I wish you were over on YouTube, man. We feel like free birds over here, man.
I was on YouTube.
I know. But you're doing all of it. You were doing both, but
do you know why I left Twitch? I left Twitch and moved over to YouTube. To be full time on YouTube, because Twitch, I didn't like the way that they were going with their politics and censorship and stuff. So I was just like, okay, and the fact that it's turning into a softcore porn site, basically, with all the ladies in their hot tubs and stuff. Not that I don't mind the ladies in the hot tubs, but I'm just like, hey, the kids are here. What are you doing here? So, but I moved over to YouTube, and I was starting to build up my thing over there. I got, YouTube was like, you're good to go. You can start monetizing and all this stuff. And I was like, cool. I started building that up. And then one day I went to go live stream, and YouTube was like, you can't live stream right now. And I'm like, why? I was getting like this message saying, that's unavailable to you right now, or something like that. I can't remember the exact messages, but every time I'd hit the live button, it's like, this is not available for you right now. And I'm like looking around, and everybody else is streaming. So it's like, it's not a problem with YouTube. So I start looking, right? I was like, do I have a copyright strike? Do I have some kind of community guideline strike against me? I go looking, no strikes, no nothing. For a week straight, I was getting this message. So I finally said, fuck it, I'm going back to Twitch, because Twitch tools work, and they have more powerful audience interaction tools that YouTube is sorely lacking. So I just went back there. And so I abandoned YouTube pretty much.
Wow! Did you ever find out what that was about?
Nope, never got a response. So
That's not
sorry,
good.
YouTube was too busy censoring everybody. They didn't have time for me. So
Oh my God.
So continuing, I guess, on your story. So you said you got away from Twitch and streaming everything for about 5 or 6 months, whatever it was. How did you transition to getting back into it, and how were you received?
So first off, we moved, and I was off my medication during those 6 months that my roommate wasn't there. So that did not help. That did not help. With nobody to talk to, not even a cat or a dog, right? And all you have is your own mind to keep you busy, right? And of course, I was flying online still, but once again, when the lights and the camera go off, you shut back down. You go right back down to depressed me, right? So finally moved in here, started a new life. I was like, everything's fresh, right? First time being in a house, finally have a house to live in instead of an apartment.
Nice, congrats.
Everything's yeah, I know. It's like everything's cool, everything's going great here. I finally manned up and went back to my psychiatrist. Was like, I haven't talked to you in a while. She's like, I was wondering where you were. I was like, yeah, to be honest, I was kind of pissed at you because I missed one session and nobody called me to reschedule or see if I was okay. So she's like, really? I was like, yep. So I was like, okay, so you're just in it for the money and you don't actually give a shit about me. She's like, absolutely not. That's not the case. So we're back on that. She got me, she got me squared back away. We're good. So now I'm like, it's a hobby. I'm going to go back and do my hobby. I like my hobby, and I love my community that I have, and I've built a lot of friendships over the last 3 years of streaming. People like Sea-Dog and Vertical and Haz and all those. A lot of these guys that are in the chat channel right now that are from my group of people. They've been here at least a year, or if not more. And I've met a lot of them. I've met not a lot of them. I met some of them face to face, just like I met you face to face at FS Expo 2019. So, but I love the community as long as it's not trying to kill each other. So,
oh boy.
so yeah. So shots fired. There's constantly. I'm just like,
I know.
Sometimes I'm involved in it, and sometimes I just sit back with a bucket of popcorn, just going.
Such a small community. Oh my God.
This is great.
We really like drama for such a small community.
Yeah. So when I came back, those who had been here for a long time, they quickly jumped back in. They're just like, oh, we're so glad to see you back. And I'm just like, cool. So now I kind of reapproached like my audience now, especially the long-term people. I was like, they're more like old friends and family now, so that's kind of how I look at my live streams now. I'm going to hang out with my family, right? I'm going to hang out with my best friends. And so it doesn't feel like a job anymore. It feels like fun. And at first I was only doing 1 stream a week. And then I went back to doing 2 streams a week, and now I'm back to 3 streams a week. So basically, I'm back to my normal schedule: Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Good deal.
And so that's what we're doing. Wednesdays.
How is it streaming now? I mean, is it light, heavy, fun? Same thing. More refreshed, more recharged. A different perspective on it.
My people in chat can chime in on this. They have noticed a big shift in my personality for the better, right? Again, because I sought help, right? Because some of them were actually noticing I was getting angry a lot, like
and not like funny angry, like actually angry.
No, like actually angry, like I'm about to throw this webcam through the wall, type angry, that type stuff.
Are there any YouTube videos of you just like freaking out?
Oh, like that video of the German kid smashing his keyboard into 1,000 pieces. Yeah, no, nothing that terrible. Nothing that terrible. But usually you can see my brow like just. Yeah. My face will turn red and I'll drop F-bombs like a machine gun. So it's just like, basically I sound like Donald Duck when he gets pissed off,
Yeah, people don't understand that you do have bad days behind outside of streaming, and then you got to get on camera and try to wipe those bad days or whatever it is away. And, and sometimes the stream helps you get through it. Like you forgot what you were pissed about, what I mean? And for that 2 hours and 3 hours in the stream, you're good to go. Until you get off again,
So they notice a lot less, like when we crash the desktop while live streaming, I used to get mad every time. Now, either I'll sigh and just be like, Man's got few pleasures in his life. Flight simulation's one of them. And you gonna treat me like this, Laminar? You gonna treat me like this? You know, I find if I go into the flight expecting a crash the desktop, it's not so terrible when it actually happens,
Right.
And then you got people like Sea Dog who has a voodoo doll going, crash the desktop, crash the desktop. And I'm like, boy, when I get up to Canada, I'm gonna stuff your head up a moose's butt.
Hey, like Blue was streaming yesterday.
Yes.
And best stream he's ever had in a long time. And guess what? The power said, not today, bro. Out just like that.
I was ascending. It was such a good stream and just gone.
Disrespected.
Gone.
Disrespected.
It's like a slap in the face. I'm literally sitting here in front of all these lights. I got blackout curtains and everything. And the power just goes out. I'm sitting in a black room. I'm like, what just happened? My dog was like freaking out, like. I think his expression was more than mine.
So Weather, I got a true story here, right? True stories with Captain K-Man.
Let's go.
So I'm here flying with people, right? And we're live streaming, right? We're live streaming. I can't remember if it was a Wednesday or a Thursday. So we're live streaming, and I noticed behind me purple lightning. So I kind of turn around going, damn, that was close. I was like, hey, chat, I might lose power here because there's a bad thunderstorm outside. So if I vanish, it's not because I don't love you. It's because the power went out. 60 seconds later, the power goes out, right? Boom, just dead, everything. And I take my headphones off, and I'm hearing the sound of marbles dropping on the roof. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And the marble suddenly becomes the sound of 1,000 fists punching my roof. So I jump up out of my chair, and I open up the front door, and there's softball-sized hell coming down everywhere.
Oh my
Brand new house, by the way, here. Ooh. Brand new house. I haven't been in the house 4 months, and this is happening. And my roommate and I rush down the hallway to my roommate, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, I've never heard hell like this before. And it's hitting the glass, and I'm like, I'm expecting glass to shatter at any moment. It's hitting so hard. So I get on my trusty phone, right? I get on a Discord, and I'm like, beep, 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 and I log into the voice channel, and I was like, hey guys, can y'all log into windy.com or some other like Intellicast or something and tell me what the weather's going on here? And my boy has, he's like, bro, there is a fucking tornado on the ground right where you live. I was like, no, there isn't. I go, if there's a tornado here, I'd hear sirens. So I was like, hang on a second. Right. I was like, hang on a second. So I go to the front door, right? I go, I'll call you guys back. So I hang up and I go to the front door and I go, hey, Mike, my boy says that there's a tornado on the ground here. I go, let me look. I don't hear any sirens. He goes, do you? We can't hear the sirens because of how loud the hell is on the roof. Oh. So I open up the front door, and the front door blows out of my hand and slams into the door next to me. And I get hit in the face with like 60 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour winds. And I'm seeing the tree in my front yard bending sideways. God. I can just make out my old Ford Focus in the driveway, and it's rocking, right? I slam, and I hear 3 sirens, not one. There's 3 sirens going off in the area. I slammed the door closed. The cat is completely losing her shit. She is going crazy. And I'm like, animals usually know something before humans do. The cat's going nuts. I slam the door and I lock it and I run down the hallway. Okay. Back then I was about 300 pounds, right? I'm down to 265 right now, by the way.
Congrats.
Victory win.
Nice.
So I run down the hall. I waddle down the hallway. I was like, Mike, we got a tornado, bro. He's like, grab the cat. We got to go someplace safe. And I'm like, where's the safest place in this house? Because I don't know where it is. So the safest place is the utility closet, right? That's attached to the garage because the garage door is heavy. It's a heavy door, and then there's no windows in here, and it's a small closed space. So we get in there, and we kneel down on the ground, and the cat's like, I was like, it's fine. She's meowing her head off. She almost sounds as loud as the damn siren outside, you know? It's like, that's a good cat, good kitty. And like 3 minutes later, the hell starts to slow down, and we go out the next morning, right? First, we open up the door, and there's literally hell like a foot thick on our door. Wow. And I'm just like, okay, in Texas. And I'm just like, wow, what's going on here? So the next day, we go outside. He hadn't put his car in the garage, nor me, because we had all of our moving boxes in the garage still. So our cars were absolutely demolished. We had shingles falling off the roof. Gutters were completely destroyed. The front end, our garage was a complete like crater city.
Oh, wow.
And come to find out that tornado was a half a mile away from our house, tearing through a field where they haven't started building homes yet. And it was throwing hell like everywhere. And the reason why my car was rocking, because, you know, what you see in a tornado isn't just, that's not the tornado, right? The tornado has a vortex zone that expands way out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was seeing the vortex zone. That's what was shaking my car, because the wind was going in and then being sucked right, you know, it was going out and then being sucked right back in. So that's why the car was rocking. So if the tornado decided to have turned a little bit, it would start plowing through the houses in this neighborhood. So that was fun. True stories with Captain K-Man. Bad weather sometimes can knock out a stream, and sometimes Mother Nature comes for you.
Thank God for Twitch. For Discord. I mean, thank God for Discord.
Discord. Yeah. I wouldn't have known that there's a tornado unless I'd called Haz on Discord and be like, bro, what's up? He's like, dude, there's a tornado. I was like, no, there's no sirens going off. Oh shit, there's sirens going off. Click.
Hey, leave it to the people who watch your streams to find stuff out about you, track your flights for you, tell you if there's a tornado over your house, and everything else. I love it.
Chat. I love you, chat. You save lives, all right? You save lives.
That saves lives, yep.
Chat saved lives. I would get a t-shirt. Chat saved lives.
I'll buy one. Get it made, I'll buy one.
There you go. There you go.
One.
No, man. Absolutely, man. I'm telling you guys need to definitely go on Twitch and watch a Captain K-Man stream. You will be, talk about entertainment, right? I know you were saying earlier, now different people at different speeds the way they stream, and we as streamers, we do compare ourselves to each other. I don't care what anybody says. We do go, okay, what is that person doing? Or what is that person doing? And why this and why that? We're human beings, right?
Yeah.
But for you, raw entertainment value is there. There is no... Do you play music in your streams at all or no?
Man, I used to do music requests until the recording industry was like, we're going to murder you. We're going to murder you if you don't stop. I mean, I had a full jukebox and everything going, and I had API code that would pop up the album cover and the song name and all this stuff.
What?
And I'm over here thinking, man, I'm advertising all this music for these record industries. I'll be cool. No, we're gonna sue you into oblivion if you don't stop playing our music. And I'm just like, okay. So we don't do music anymore. So that means now I have to fill all those awkward, empty moments where you're just looking out a wing view at 38,000 feet for the next 4 hours with something, right? With something. So I'm told consistently that I am one of the funnier streamers that do Twitch and YouTube work.
By far.
I guess I try to keep it funny, and I have a crazy sense of humor. You know, I like to laugh.
I think you've proven
make other
that
people
today.
laugh. Yeah. I like to laugh. I like to make other people laugh. I like to keep it real while keeping it funny at the same time, because life is funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Even when a tornado is flipping your car upside down, I can find humor in that. Okay. Because at least the cat survived, right? At least the cat survived. So,
your description is so good, because I'm here like visualizing the entire thing happening, with the hail piled up at the front door. And
we didn't lose a single window either, but when we looked out our back window at our neighbors behind us, all 12 houses, they had no windows left on the back of their houses, and their giant glass sliding doors were gone. So we were lucky. The best part is we had just finished repairing the roof from a previous hailstorm that happened a month prior to this tornado. So we spent $3,000 to repair the roof, and then this tornado's like, hold my beer. Let me come in here.
I'm not gonna get up that easy.
Yeah,
wow.
it was $18,000 the second time around. So
wow.
Yeah, and then we lost our cars. Yeah, good times.
All right, let's do this. Random fire questions. Future of X-Plane 12 and Microsoft Flight Sim. What comes to your mind when you hear that? What's going to be the future? What do you predict and see happening here?
So, Microsoft's not going anywhere yet. Microsoft. I can pronounce their name. Honest. Microsoft has had a history of abandoning the flight sim community. Microsoft Flight comes to mind immediately. They're like, oh, here's your Microsoft Flight, and we're done. And they vanished for 10 years. They're like, we're not doing flight sim anymore. We're going to go do Minecraft or, whatever was floating in their boat, at the time. And but they looked like they came back with a vengeance from a company I would have never expected to hire, Asobo. I've played a couple of Sobo's games. They're not simulators. They're like role-playing adventure games. Like the one where you play the little boy and the little girl, and the little boy can control rats. It's like a Rat's Tail is the name of it, a Rat's Tail. One of the best games I've ever played. And I'm playing this, and when I first loaded it up, I didn't realize Asobo made it until I saw their logo, and I was like, Asobo made a game about an 8-year-old boy who can control rats, and his little sister trying to keep him safe. It's very much kind of like a stealth game, right? You do a lot of hiding to keep away from the enemies. But I saw the Asobo logo, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't this the Microsoft guys? How do you go from making a game about rats to the most sophisticated technological achievement in simulation history? You know, I'm just like,
A Plague
okay.
Tale, apparently.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Plague Tale. Yeah, Plague Tale. Great game. Chat, play it if you haven't. It's a fantastic game. So, and I'm just like, that's interesting. They're not going anywhere. I think they are 2 years away from being where I personally want them to be, as far as flight modeling and the variety of aircraft. They already got the scenery thing down. It seems like there's this factory that's just scenery, scenery, but the planes aren't keeping up. The planes are like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like, ugh. And the planes that they've been kicking out are all general aviation. I'm not a GA guy. I like to fly high and fast. So,
Thank
you know,
you.
that's what I do.
No,
That's what
yeah.
I do. That's what I do. So I do both simulators. I do basically tell everybody I do commercial aviation on X-Plane, and I do general aviation bush flying in Microsoft. That's how I roll right now. So you know, because slow and low, you can't beat Microsoft. That Black Shark AI is a game changer. I wish X-Plane 12 was doing something like that. They are not. They're still sticking with the old OSM model, although they're supposed to have enhanced OSM now, whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but enhanced OSM for better autogen and tree generation. I was like, okay, well, you're never going to top Microsoft because they're literally placing every single tree and every single house. I mean, I'll never forget when I flew over Africa for the first time, and there was this hut out in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, who lives there? And there was a 3D model there for it because Black Shark AI recognized that as a building. And I was just like, that's impressive. X-Plane, you better step up, you know, with your game.
Yeah, I
Is
want
that
to ask
something
you
that
about
X-Plane
that.
can license?
Say again.
Is that something that X-Plane can license, you know, for their use, or no?
I don't know if Microsoft has an exclusive deal with Black Shark because Microsoft doesn't own Black Shark. I don't think they're an independent company that's their job is tracking satellite imagery, right? All that stuff. So I'm sure they could, but the money, Laminar does not have the bank account that Microsoft has, not by any imagination. So X-Plane 12. I think it's going to be well received. People that are fanatic for X-Plane 11 and refuse to go to Microsoft for whatever reason, they're going to enjoy X-Plane 12. I'm going to enjoy X-Plane 12, I think. So we'll see. This is a very expensive hobby. It can be a cheap hobby, or it can be really expensive. Mm-hmm. And I chose to go the really expensive route because I am a scenery snob. I got to have the real thing or I won't fly to it, right? I don't want default anything that I'm flying to. I don't want it. So because of that, it gets real expensive real quick. So Microsoft not going anywhere anytime soon. They need more maturity. I think they released it too soon. I think it should have baked in the oven probably for another year. But Microsoft was like, get it out. We want money. We want our investment, right? Because Microsoft invested in the Microsoft Flight Sim. They banked on that they were going to make a ton of money, and they did because they sold all those Xbox game controllers. Mm-hmm. So you know, but I think X-Plane 12 is not going anywhere. I was very surprised to see the survey of who's using what.
Oh yeah,
and because everybody, when Microsoft first, I'll never forget sitting there FS Expo at the bar, right? You remember the bar?
I remember.
You know, so I was sitting in the bar, and I had Bish 753 sitting next to me, and I had Brad sitting next to me over here, Brad M, and Chili Willy was kind of across the way, you know, sitting at his table with his group, and a dude runs up with an iPad. He's like, "Dude, they just dropped a trailer from Microsoft," and we're like, "What? Since when is Microsoft working on a flight simulator? Because they kept it secret until then, right?
They did.
So they dropped it on us, right? And so we're all sitting at the table and we're watching this trailer, and I'm sure you had the exact same reaction. I'm sure everybody in chat had the same reaction, like, "Oh my God, sign me up! This is gorgeous." And then it came out.
Yeah.
Then it came out, and I was just like, But before I go off on that tangent, I was sitting there and I remember I heard at least 3 people around me go, "Man, we're never going to have to buy any scenery ever again."
Yes.
And that made me laugh. I laughed out loud and I leaned back and I go, "You want to make a bet on that?" And I wasn't wrong. I was not wrong. Yes, the ground scenery looks great and the cities look amazing. The airports are crap. The first time I spawned in at default LaGuardia in Microsoft, I was staring at this 50-foot tall terminal, and I was like, "What is this hotel that's sitting here?" I was like, "This is not what I signed a $150 price tag for." Because I bought like the Ultimate Edition, which was that $129. It was $149.99, wasn't it?
Yep.
I was just like, "What am I getting from my money?" I regret spending. I should have bought just the regular $60 version. Because of being a scenery snob, I knew I was going to replace even the handcrafted airports that Asobo did. I knew that the third-party developers were going to do better versions of it, so I should have just stuck with the $60 version and been done with it. I've actually bought Microsoft twice, by the way. I couldn't stand the way that it updates on the Microsoft Store, so I ended up buying it on Steam, and I deleted it from the store because I couldn't stand. Every time I tried to update that damn thing, it wouldn't update. It's like, oh, you have to be logged into your Xbox account and all this. I was like, why do I got to be logged into this account to get into this account to get into this account so I can update the damn product? Steam does it automatically. I wake up and ta-da, I've installed your new updates, ready to go. Get in there. So, and I didn't like how the store version of Microsoft was storing data. I did not like where it was putting it and how it was hiding everything. Like you can't use Reshade with the Microsoft version. You have to. You can only use it with. I mean, that may have changed, but when we first started trying to use Reshade, you couldn't use Reshade with the Microsoft version because you couldn't get into the encrypted hidden folder where the main shader files are, where Reshade has to look. It has to be able to look in the main folder in order to apply its own shaders to inject them into the simulator. With Steam, you can do that because Steam doesn't have a protected folder where the Microsoft Flight Simulator is installed.
I'll tell you one secret thing, too, about that Microsoft installer, and that is that when you delete a game from the Microsoft Store, it's not really all the way gone.
Yeah, I noticed that. There's residual left behind. I'm just like, I hate you. I hate you, Microsoft.
This is what caused me to have to reinstall Windows, was because I was trying to delete my old Forza Horizon game to download the new Forza Horizon game, and I was like, why didn't I get my space back? So I went through all the deep, dark depths of the internet to try to figure out how to mod my computer and to go into those secret encrypted files. And when I finally got in there, it broke everything. And I had to reinstall Windows. So...
Yep. Painful. So, but yeah, I thought that was hilarious. It's like, no, you're going to be buying scenery. And it came out and it wasn't what I expected. And I got so angry because what they were showing on the trailer didn't match what was actually there. Like you said, right? Where's the footage from the trailer in my simulator? Where is this? This is not here. This is not here. And it was performing terribly. I mean, I'm like sitting here with this mega computer and I'm like, why am I getting 23 frames per second on this hardware? This is ridiculous. And thankfully, they finally done a bunch of patches, and now it runs at 60 FPS. I always lock my frame rate in, so I never go higher than 60. So
nice.
That's all I ever see. So
now the question: can X-Plane 12 survive without eye candy? And I really mean eye candy because I consider the core sim good, flight model wise, but eye candy.
Oh, that's kind of the big mantra, right? That's what I hear from everybody that counter argues that X-Plane is going to die, right? That's the other thing that I heard. Microsoft is going to kill P3D. It's going to kill off X-Plane 11. I was like, no, P3D maybe, but not even P3D because P3D is used by mainline airlines like American Airlines and stuff for their training simulators. Right. Same thing with X-Plane. X-Plane, believe it or not, they have a commercial side license, and a lot of airlines will use X-Plane's core engine for their flight model on their big giant level D, full motion simulators. So you're never going to lose the commercial aviation aspect of those products because, especially X-Plane, because X-Plane, which is arguably it simulates big jetliners better than any other platform out there. So they're going to keep using that, but if you want to win back the market share that you lost to Microsoft, to the people that are like, oh, this is pretty, the the people that don't see the pig behind the lipstick, right? That's what I call it, right? You got the pig, it's got the lipstick. Those people that only see the beautiful lipstick, you're not going to win them over to X-Plane 12 because X-Plane 12 still isn't visually going to compete with that. It can't because Laminar doesn't have the budget that Microsoft does to do that. Is it going to be good enough to win back some of the lost market share? I think so. You'll see a percentage. I mean, I have a lot of people in my community that bought Microsoft Flight Simulator. They've uninstalled it. They don't even have it on their computer anymore. They're like, I'm done. I went back to X-Plane. So it's just, I'm tired of the updates. And it's to be expected, right? It's a brand new simulation platform. It's got a ton of bugs. It's a massive undertaking. So, but, they're tired of updating it. They're tired of the lackluster, aircraft, the crash of the desktops, all that stuff. So they're just like, I'm done. So X-Plane 12 isn't going anywhere. It's not going to vanish from the face of the earth. It's probably going to win back some of the market share, but the people that are only interested in visuals, you're not going to win them over. People that love flight models are the ones that you're going to get to come back from Microsoft if the PMDG and the Phoenix and the Any builds and I guess Just Flight's British Aerospace 146 is coming too, which I'm going to buy that too because I love that plane on X-Plane. So I'm going to fly that one on Microsoft. Same stream. I'm going to fly it on X-Plane and Microsoft in the same stream, and I'm going to let the audience decide which one's better, and then I'll give my 2 cents on what I think of both versions of the aircraft. So here's hoping. I want Microsoft to succeed. I want this platform. I want it to go from Microsoft Scenery Simulator to Microsoft Flight Simulator. I do want it to do that because competition is great.
Yep.
Competition drives innovation. If you don't have competition, you stagnate and you start getting lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, lazy scenery developers, Pearl Sim, TIE models, shots fired.
You mean you don't have any Captain Sim airplanes at all? No.
I do
you
on
have any
P3D.
737 Maxes?
I do on P3D, and I hate the 757 on P3D. I regret spending that $160 because I bought all the add-ons for it too, like all the engine add-ons and cargo add-ons and all that stuff. And I flew it once, and I compared it against the Flight Factor 757. Right? I'm like, what is this garbage? This is not a 757. I'm going back to X-Plane. Goodbye.
Wow.
I uninstalled it. After that debacle, I uninstalled P3D for the third time, and I vowed I would never go back to it. And I have not. I'm sorry, Lockheed Martin. You dropped the football. You're no longer in the game for me. You're out of the game. So,
So you're exclusive X-Plane right now, then?
95% of my flight time is in X-Plane. Yes.
Wow.
Nice.
Especially since I got it dialed in. My X-Plane looks better than anybody else's, in my opinion. Of course, everybody's it's all subjective, right? But no. I love the way it looks. I love the way mine looks. Mine's set up not for a view out of the pilot's eyes. Mine's set up for cinematics, right?
Okay.
So my colors and the way I do bloom effects and light shafts and flares and stuff like that. I leave all that stuff in there so that it looks like it's being filmed with a GoPro camera rather than looking out of the eyes of a pilot. So, and that's just how I do it because to me, the flight is a movie for my streamers, for my chat guys. So I film it like a movie, So and of course with X camera you can do that. You can make all kinds of crazy flybys and orbits and cinematic views and all kinds of stuff like that. So
one part question, one part statement. So my strategy, I've been telling Blue, like once X-Plane 12 drops, I want to make it the best it can ever look.
I'm with you.
Because I know what Microsoft looks like, and I know going from Microsoft right now back to X-Plane 11 sometimes can be jarring in what you see, depending what your scenery is. So here's my question to you: is my ortho going to work day one in X-Plane 12? Oh Lord! Oh boy! Oh jeez!
I got some bad news and some good news for you.
Oh, come on! Don't break our hearts.
Oh no! Wait. Okay.
So I got some good news and bad news for you. So. Okay. Stuff like Vertical's V-states, right? Do you use V-states in X-Plane for the U.S.?
Yeah.
If you don't, what are you waiting for?
And I have my orthos that I build myself.
You did your own. Okay. Right. So
I use V-states.
V-states are amazing, especially Georgia 3 that just got released. Version 3 of Georgia just got released. Right. So it works automatically with Nimbus's mesh. So thank you, Vertical. Okay. So it's my understanding, I've talked to Vertical with this, it's my understanding that it will work partially but you're going to have artifacts. Your coastlines are going to be completely screwed up. They're going to be completely jacked because of the way that they're redoing the data. The meshes, not the meshes, but the masks and stuff have to be recut. So a lot of your stuff that's masked up is going to be completely off center now. It's going to be out of its mind. So your rivers, lakes, coastlines, all that's going to be jacked. It's not going to look right.
Basically, all of our ortho is screwed.
So yes, that's the big downside. Oscar, are you listening? We need ortho for X-Plane 1.4, sir. You're going to have to rewrite the program. He's going to have to rewrite the program. And I hope Oscar's still in the community, because if we don't have an ortho for XP 1.4 or 1. Whatever, because it's 1.3 right now is the version that's current, we're going to need a 1.4 so that it can work with the new X-Plane 12 engine. The good news is, yes, we're going to be able to do ortho. The bad news is you're probably going to have to start over from scratch. Are you ready? Are you ready for the pain? Are you ready for the pain?
Oh my God.
5 months of making ortho. Are you ready for it?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I have to start over, I don't know, man.
I would pay good money.
Be worth it for me.
I would pay good money to download that bad boy over a weekend from somewhere. I would run my internet, my phone, my light, everything, just let my computer run. I would pay good money for ortho.
You're going to have to, the only place that does that is P3D with Mega Scenery Earth. They'll actually send you a hard drive with all of the US on it, and you just plug the hard drive in and your ortho's ready to go in P3D.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for Vertical Sim to put out his new...
Oh my God.
Yeah, Vertical is already he's like, son of a bitch, I'm going to have to redo all my V states. And I was like...
He spent a couple years on that, man.
Oh, yeah. And of course, you know, that's his job, is making airports, so he can only work on V states when he's between jobs, right? When he's between airports. So, you know, right now he's full bore going on with Ontario. So he needs that money because he's about to be a daddy. He's got a little baby boy coming. So
I'm depressed right now.
That's what I got in chat. V State's hard drives for sale.
There it is.
I'll buy it. I will buy it right now.
I will buy that.
Put me number one on the list for V State's hard drive. I will pay good money for that.
Matter of fact,
I'm
money
making up.
I want to invest in that company. I want 50% share.
Dude, I'll be your first customer. V State's ortho on any hard drive. It's done. You take Apple Pay? Let's do it.
I'm serious, Vertical Sim. Let's partner up. I will invest into that company.
So Reese said the thing that I'm hoping for here, right? There should be a way to convert them. So the hope is there will be a utility created by Oscar or somebody that will scan our current tiles and make the necessary X-Plane 12 adjustments.
Please.
I don't know if that's possible. If it is, please somebody invent this. Listen, you got people here that would pay you to invent this program. All right.
Yeah.
I want to invest in it. Again, we want 50% stake in it, though.
Yeah.
So 50% share, please.
For those reasons, I'm in. Yeah.
That's the bad news, because, and I'll do it. I'll bite the bullet and I'll remake it all. So, you know, because if I'm being honest, X-Plane's ortho at zoom level 15, which is what I use for most of my flyover, right?
Yep.
I do 19 at the airport, 18 around that, 17 out to whatever city that the airport's in, and then I let it blend in from there. Everything else is zoom level 15 because I'm an airline pilot, right? Yeah. So zoom level 15 on X-Plane looks better than Microsoft's ortho at max detail setting.
I agree.
It just is. It just is, and it has to be that way because Microsoft is streaming the data to you. So if they were trying to stream zoom level 18, 19 tiles to you, you better have a 1 gigabit internet connection, and instead of that 100 megabyte, 100 megabit connection. So they have to make a compromise between quality and size, so they can stream that to the average computer user and not get bogged down. Whereas when we're making our own ortho, we're the masters of our own fate, right? We can do whatever the hell we want. We can make the whole world zoom level 19 if we want to wait 7 months for one tile to be done, but it's there. It's an option for us. So I will be painful. Of course, I'll start with the US first, then I'll go to Europe, and then I'll do Asia, Oceanic. I literally have 80% of the world done, by the way.
Wow.
Stored on 4 hard drives. So I feel your pain.
Oh, yeah.
We got a 4, a 4, a 6, and a 10
terabyte.
Yes.
Yep.
So you got 20 terabytes worth.
Yep. So
Wow, you have the world split up on multiple hard drives. That blows my mind right there.
Correct. I've got the U.S. on one, Europe on one, and
my
Asia,
God.
Australia, and all that. They are spread out across the other two.
Well, do you use anything to organize that? Like, do you use Xorganizer or anything like that, or you do everything manually?
Listen, despite what CDawg says, man cannot live without Xorganizer in the Xplane platform. When you have literally, last time Xorganizer did its run, if you include the ortho tiles, right, all the hot linked ortho tiles, Xorganizer reports 37,852 pieces of scenery that are currently installed. So I have to be able to turn that stuff off when I'm not using it, or else I'd literally, it would take 7 hours for the simulator to boot up if it tries. In fact, it wouldn't boot at all. It would just crash the desktop. Or my favorite, Xplane does something really fun. I don't know if you ever encountered this. If you load too much scenery, too many airports, too many plugins, it breaks the Sassel engine. And so planes that rely on Sassel end up doing really funny things. The Tolus, for example, when you spawn in, all the glass on the plane will be popped out. You won't have any main landing gear, and the front landing gear is like stuck to the ground.
Oh, what that is.
Yeah.
Every now and again. Yeah.
Yeah, you have too much scenery loaded. Xorganizer is great because you can literally turn off everything and turn on only the states, countries that you're using, and turn on only the 2 airports you're flying to, plus maybe your alternate if you need it.
And plugins. And plugins.
And Lua scripts can be turned off and on also.
Yep.
So you can do all that stuff. And the freeware version was pretty cool, but the payware version is, it's a masterpiece. It is on my top 3 must-have programs for new Xplane people.
100%.
Yep. So especially if you have a lot of scenery. I have over 300 airports that are payware, so I need all that to be organized. Especially because a lot of these come with their own mesh, right? They come with their own meshes, their own overlays. So Xorganizer is really good at putting those in the correct load order.
Yeah.
So without a doubt, Xorganizer for the win. I hope Xorganizer works out of the box with Xplane 12 too. So it'll be nice. They'll all be compatible eventually, right? It'll probably take a few months, but eventually our planes and our scenery and stuff will all start to fall in line with Xplane 12's new code. So
I'm still excited though. I'm disappointed with my ortho, but okay. All right, fine.
But just remember, keep Xplane 11 installed and fly that while you work on your Xplane 12.
For that.
Oh no, I ain't got space for that. To be honest with you.
Listen.
You can symbolic link everything over.
I ain't got no. Listen, you ain't see my hard drive.
20.
Everything is in the red. All of them.
You need 20 terabytes, man. You need 20 terabytes.
I'm on Amazon right now. Download a new SSD.
Get on it. Get 4 10 terabyte NAS red drives, and you'll be good to go. You'll never have a space issue again with ortho. You'll be good to go.
Oh my God, yeah. All right, the first person who can make ortho for the US for Xplane 12, hit me up. I'll buy it. I want it. I used to remember, for me to get all my ortho that I have now, which is all of the US, all of Europe, the Caribbean, and then parts of South America and parts of Africa, I literally had to do every route. Every time I'm going to fly a route, like the day before, I highlighted all those tiles I need, and I did those orthos. And then when that was done and crisscrossed each other, I just started filling in the blanks in Zoom Level 15. That's it. That's all I did.
That's how I'm working on Africa right now myself. I haven't flown over there traditionally because I thought the ortho was terrible, but it turns out ARC is actually excellent for India and Africa.
Oh, really?
I Google not so much, but ARC. I use ARC for all of India, China, the Middle East, and Africa right now. So especially the Middle East. Google Middle East is terrible because they filmed it at a time of the day when the sun was directly bouncing off the sand into the camera. So it's way too bright. But ARC, well, they did it when the sun was at that 45-degree perfect angle. That's when they took the photos of all the Middle East that we use in our ortho. So even the Middle East looks great now with all the sand everywhere. There's not much to look at, but boy, the mountains are really pretty with all the sand down there.
Sand's pretty.
Also, side note, 8 terabyte SSD costs $900. Use my affiliate link in the description. There you go.
Okay. Let's address this. You do not need SSD drives for Xplane ortho scenery. A 5400 RPM drive is
good enough.
Legit.
Not 7200. 54 is fine.
I recommend 7200, but you can get away with 5400. I've used 5400 for a while. I was noticing a little bit of load stuttering sometimes. But if you get a drive that's USB 3.1, that can have that full transfer, back and forth, you should be good to go. The problem is on the 5400 drive, when you start to fill that sucker all the way up and you get to the outer parts of the platter, the drive becomes much slower than 5400 RPM, right? You can no longer access that because it's got to go further and further out to grab the data so it can pull it in through the bus.
Cool.
So SSDs are great. When X-Plane 11 first hit the market, SSD drives were actually not good for ortho. We discovered that there was a problem because SSD drives are so fast, and OpenGL is such a slow language because it only has one rendering pipeline, right? It only has one data highway to go back and forth through. The X-Plane would go out to the SSD drive and be like, okay, I need scenery for Alabama, right? I'm about to fly into Alabama, I need scenery. The SSD drive would go, oh, you need Alabama. Okay, so you need 10 gigs of Alabama. Well, I got you covered, fam. I got you covered. And so it would slam that entire 10 gigabytes of data down this one pipeline. And X-Plane would basically be like, whoa, hold on. I can't eat all this. You're going to have to wait. And when you wait, that was causing massive stuttering. At least on my system, it was. My whole system was like, and then you would know the second that the scenery was done loading because it go, and then go right back to 60 FPS. And I'm just like, okay. So now that we're in Vulkan, though, Vulkan has 4 pipelines. So now it doesn't get bogged down transferring mass data back and forth. So if you want to spend $900 on a 8 terabyte SSD, knock yourself out. I spent $2,400 on 2 4 terabyte SSD drives when I first built this computer. $2,400 of this computer is 2 hard drives.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow. Not even the graphics card, just a hard drive.
That's your whole computer.
Because the 4 terabyte drives were brand new, so they were charging $1,200 per drive. I have regrets. I have a few regrets in the build of this computer here. So I will not make that mistake again on the new one that I'll be building later this year.
Wow.
Besides, I don't have to. I'm going to cannibalize this one and move all the parts into the other one.
There you go. Nice. Well, that's it. I'm getting my ortho. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to buy some new drives. And get ortho. I'm going to have it up and running within a couple of months of X-Plane 12 coming out. Can't do it out.
I recommend the 10 terabyte red drives.
Yep.
I know.
WD red. I love the WD reds.
The instinct was to go out and get the black drives, right? But those are really for the game. It's not really good for data sequential storing.
Okay.
That's what the NAS drives are for, because they're network drives, right? They're designed to store mass data. Those giant data centers that run the internet, they're all NAS drives stuck in massive, hard drive bays. So it's just because it's really good at doing RAID and stuff like that, like RAID formats and stuff. So
wow, and it's only $250. Look at that.
Red drives are nice and cheap.
Are you shopping too?
Oh yeah. Hello.
Oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I done?
Good too. We're shopping. All right.
Hey, YSF Sim is here. Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
Not a question for you. I mean, I got questions for you for days because you notice I'm not concerned about Microsoft and scenery. That's done. I'm worried about X-Plane 12. I want it to look the best way. I'm gonna go look at your Twitch streams, see what you did, what you tweaked, ray tracing, all the other stuff, and see. But I always contend that one of the reasons why Microsoft looks so good low down is because of the tree density, the density of the trees on the ground.
Correct.
How can we tweak X-Plane to make to look like that? To get denser trees? I mean, is it possible? I know when scenery when Vertical Sim does that on approach, it looks so damn good. I went to Syracuse, I was like, wow, look at this, because the tree density was good around the airport. How can we get X-Plane?
Because those are hand placed.
I know, but how can we get like default X-Plane to look like that? Is it possible? Okay,
as far as I know, because X-Plane relies on OSM national tree data, right? That's done by whatever company does it, UCAS or whatever. I can't remember what it is. The United Agricultural blah blah whatever. But they're the ones that provide tree data, right? Like where are all the forests at and stuff. So they rely on that data to pump that into the sim. And X-Plane 11 is really bad at it. How many times have you been on Final Approach, right? You're coming in, Louis Armstrong in Louisiana, right? You're coming in on that Final Approach, and there's all these trees sticking up out of the buildings on the ortho. It's like, there's no trees there. That's the parking lot, X-Plane. It's because X-Plane's really bad at interpreting the tree data. And unfortunately, what it's doing is it's finding that tree data, and it's basically the way X-Plane is doing trees is that's a big pole file, right? A polygon file, and it's a polygon forest file. And so the polygon forest file, while you can control the density, like if you were laying down one of these tiles inside your airport scenery, you have a density of 0.0 to 1.0, right? 1.0 is default, which is max. But even max, the trees they're like 15, 20 feet apart from each other, right? It doesn't look like a forest. It looks like a forest if you're looking at it, from a side angle, sure,
Right.
But as soon as you're flying over it, you're like, man, somebody chopped down all the trees down there. We need Johnny Appleseed up in here to plant some more trees. X-Plane, we don't have enough. So the 3D trees help a little bit from what I've seen. It does fill it in a little bit more. But again, at what cost are we going to have for these 3D forests and stuff? The reason why Microsoft is so intuitive when it comes to forests, right? Especially if you buy some of the professional payware add-ons. Again, we'll never need to buy scenery for Microsoft. Yeah, I went out and bought a really nice tree add-on from Bijan Seasons. He was the first one to do it before Rex came along and did their season add-on. So I use Bijan to this day. And Bijan is great because he makes the trees actual where they belong in the world. So the right species are where they are. So if you fly in Japan, you're going to see tons of plum and cherry trees while you're flying over Tokyo and stuff. And those trees are going to be exactly where they belong too because of the way the Black Shark AI engine works. So the reason why Microsoft can get away with that is because those trees down there, they look 3D, but they're not. Have you ever driven right up to those trees?
Yep, they disappear.
They pixelate, right? They're like voxel. They're like voxel pixels. Mm-hmm. So they're not true 3D, but because it's volumetric, right? It's kind of a pseudo 3D because it's volumetric. But as you get close to it, in order to save on performance, it gets a little flat. The trees start to flatten out a little bit. Still looks great. And the trees don't rotate, that's what would really take you out of there. If the trees like rotated to face your plane.
Like X-Plane does.
So, X-Plane's really bad at clouds. If you have like 2D clouds, those clouds love to rotate to face you. So 2D clouds are dead to me, by the way. I'll never use them again. Another plug for X-Enviro, which unfortunately we have some bad news about that. If anybody's interested, hit me up. I'll let you know about all that.
Oh boy.
But basically, the developer is Russian/Ukrainian, the team that's working on it. So yeah, they got a little problem with paying the bills.
Issues.
Paying the bills and paying the developers, the programmers that are working on it, and not to mention the tension between the Ukrainian employees versus the Russian employees, right? So.
I hope the servers stay up because where are the servers located?
That was my concern. I was talking to C-Dog because we were like, well, so much for 1.17 because the screenshots they've been showing on Facebook for 1.17, finally thunderstorm clouds and beautiful different types of clouds, and they're promising a 10 to 15% performance boost with all these new clouds that actually billow upwards now, realistically. Wow. But I was like, oh my God, I hope the servers don't go offline because if those go offline, X-Enviro is trash. You can't use it anymore because it won't get any METAR data because they have their own personal servers that they process the data, and that's how they ship those volumetric clouds out to us and visually. So, but yeah, that's kind of the state of that. But yeah, trees never going to look as good as Microsoft, and they're never going to be in the right place either. We're still going to have these weird trees sticking up out of our ortho. Because in order to make that not happen, you have to put down smart exclusion zones, and ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah,
ain't nobody got time for that. So I just deal with it. I deal with the trees sticking up, and even with payware products like the North American tree product and the European trees product that you can buy off the org store, I have those. Even they still pop up trees in places where they don't belong. And this is supposedly the latest, agricultural data about where all the, vineyards are and orchards are and all the forests and stuff in America and in Europe. And it does pretty good on filling in a little bit more, right? The payware products do because of the type of trees that they use. I think they use trees that are slightly exaggerated in size to make them look fuller. So they kind of get away with it like that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, the trees are beautiful, but this is not Tree Simulator, right? I'm not going out there to lumberjack trees. This isn't The Forest, right? I'm not playing The Forest horror survival game, so I don't care if the trees are. Cool? Wouldn't it be cool though, right? Jump out of your plane, grab your pilot's axe, and just start chopping down trees on the side of the runway for no reason.
I'm still waiting for that bush pilot simulator that never came out.
True. I mean, you can kind of simulate it now. You can kind of simulate it now with the Kodiak in Microsoft, so you can land there. We did a massive when Microsoft was pretty new. I had a 30-man flight follow me around, and we spawned in Africa together, and we landed in a valley that had elephants. We found elephants.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, did as well.
I was like, we're landing, chat. Let's go. We're landing. So we all landed there and we turned our engines off, right? And we set our parking brakes. And what was cool, this blew my mind. This did impress me. The elephants actually came over to our planes because they were curious about these planes that were sitting here. They're like, what is this? Wow. I don't know if it was just because we were in their AI walking path, or if Asobo actually programmed them to be curious about the player's aircraft on the ground. But they came over to our planes and they stayed there. They just started grazing in the grass there, and they never left until we started taking off, and leaving. And then they started walking again. So I'm like, I think they're keyed to the player's plane. Like, if you land, they'll come over and take a look at you.
Yeah, when I went to Africa, I actually started riding the elephants.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you do that? How do you ride elephants at Microsoft?
The magic of the drone camera.
Oh, that drone camera. I thought you were seriously getting up on that thing and being like, "Yeehaw!" Like,
I mean, if you were watching the stream, you would have thought I was freaking out. It was amazing. One of my favorite moments in Microsoft Flight Sim was riding those elephants.
Yeah. See, YSF Sim, he's a guy that's big into the world traffic scene with me. He and his team are responsible for all the new 3D models that we have in World Traffic 3. So YF Sim and your team, thank you for making the plane installer so much easier to use in World Traffic 3. Which, by the way, I'm going to plug it again because I love this program. The new version, 3.25 of World Traffic, that's about to be popped out to public beta. All new 3D models and textures and PBR materials and new lighting and contrails and smoke on the tires and all the stuff that AI has been missing at X-Plane. We're about to get it. So
I have one question for you and for their team. A very good and very important question. Can we use these models for VETs and model matching?
You know what? I'm not sure. I've never tried.
It's
Maybe
needed.
Somebody can.
All I'm saying is it is needed.
It would be nice. It would be nice. I don't know if it can because of the format World Traffic 3 uses. They're not necessarily CSL files per se, I don't think. But I think we're still stuck with Bluebell. I think we're still stuck with Bluebell for now.
You're letting me down. I'm so sick of Bluebell.
Listen, just buy it. Just buy it anyway and spawn them in around all the player planes. All right, you'll be happy. Trust me.
I'm so sick of Bluebell. When I went to Microsoft Flight Sim, I was like, I don't ever want to see Bluebell again. And guess what happened? We were importing freaking Bluebell models into Microsoft Flight Sim. I was so pissed.
Thank God for AIG.
AIG is a freaking lifesaver. I ain't never touching Bluebell again.
Is AIG see, I still don't have AIG.
I'm telling you right now, bro, I've spent the last 3 days installing all the airlines for AIG. 100% worth it.
3 days? Seriously, man?
Well, I mean, I'm slowly doing it for areas I'm flying in. I'm not doing it as a whole package, but yes.
So I installed all 1,375 airlines. All of them. I have all of them installed. It took a week. It took 7 days to do all that. Mysteriously enough, also, I couldn't download from the US. I had to use my VPN client to log into a European server so that the installer would stop getting stuck. Because there was something wrong with the pipeline between the U.S. and the servers that they have in Europe.
Probably expired your quota of downloads from your ISP, man. Too much internet traffic from your
I will say, AIG, you can use those models on VATSIM for Microsoft Flight Sim.
You can. Yes. You can. So
all right.
It would be not. You know what? I'll ask Greg. I'm not sure if it can be done.
But one of your guys said in chat, he said, good question. He doesn't know yet. So I'm just saying, I think it'd be something that'd be helpful if it's possible, or even if you can get a guy to convert them to CSL. I don't know how hard it is. I'm not a programmer.
Like I said,
know.
Greg, the main, I think he's the only developer, the guy that actually designs the program, the logic behind it. He's not the airplane guy. Volunteers made all the airplanes for World Traffic 3, which is another thing. I love the X-Plane community. For the most part, is freaking dope.
Yeah.
You know, they just throw out free stuff left and right, which is also one of X-Plane's biggest problems right now, too. I can rant on that also, but I'll spare your ears for right now. But the gist of it is I'm tired of people who bash on people like Vertical for charging for their product. It's
what?
Like, can you believe there's people in the community that think that because $0 payware made Alaska, for free, and they made Incheon for free, and they made Louisville for free, that other payware developers should take after $0 payware's model and just hand out these really high detailed airports for free. And I'm like, do you people know that this is a business? Like, people make a living off this? Are you kidding me? When you don't actually buy any products, you're not investing in the simulator, and the simulator does not advance in quality because nobody invests in making anything because everything's for free. Yep. That's why it took so long to get so much scenery already as it is, because everybody was picking out so much free scenery. They're like, oh, well, this is good enough. I don't need a payware scenery. This is good enough. Yep. And, in my opinion, like TDG made some great freeware airports. He can't compete with the payware versions of those airports that he worked on. You can't. So, but you have a lot of people in the X-Plane community that are like, they're spoiled. They're like, it's free, so I don't need to buy anything. And then they want to whine and complain about developers trying to make money, right? Now, some developers, complain all day. Pearl Sim, TIE models. I'm looking at you again. You want to charge $30 for incomplete products that are garbage, and it's just like, I can understand that, like, getting ripped off. But once you know who the main players are, the ones that are trustworthy, support these people so that they'll keep making products, right? The same thing goes for Microsoft. If you don't support the Microsoft, your FS Dream Teams and your Flight Beams, they're not going to make any software for Microsoft either. They're going to stop. It's like, probably not, because they need to make money somehow, but they might slow down and not make any new products. They might just maintain the stuff that they already have. And I won't be satisfied until there's an airport for every airport in the world. I want a payware. I want a payware airport for every airport in the world.
Third party makes flight simulators. We get the base thing from the manufacturers, and the third party actually make it a simulator that we want to be around. No base simulators worth just having alone. You have to have third party, else which would suck. So absolutely right. Wow, guys! It's been 2 hours. Just saying. I told you to be fun.
It only looks like we've been, 3? No, it's only been 10 minutes.
That's because we're used to streaming for 4 hours.
This is the intro, guys. What are you talking about?
This is the intro. Stay tuned. We're not done yet. We're gonna get food, liquor, and drinks, and we're gonna keep going. No, I'm kidding. But
let's do it. Somebody order me a pizza. I can go for another 4 hours.
Oh man, bring on the DoorDash.
I'm on it. Listen, what do you guys want? I'm ready. Let's go. I'll send some to your doors.
Exactly. Yeah. No, man, I love talking to you about flight simming, man. Your passion for it, the way you describe the stuff to us, and I have, the questions you have answered for me that I've had burning and people don't know. I like the fact that that's one thing I like about you behind the scenes and just watching your streams and talking to you, is that you know how the damn thing works. Most of us have no clue how it works. We hit the download button. Somebody said in chat, we can hit all these freeware sceneries. We don't even hit the like button on it, just to give the guy a compliment. But you know how the stuff works behind the scenes, how the mechanism of it works, and you help us to make our simulator work better, look better, and know what the hell is going on behind the scenes. And I like that. That's the kind of resource we get from a person like you in the flight sim community. You're a treasure to this community, man. That's why we have you on the show. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. Without your passion for fixing stuff and calling out people on their BS when they drop it, everybody would just settling for half-done stuff.
And here's the thing. I keep calling out like TIE models and Pearl Sim because they're two of the developers that are like, warning. I don't want to pick on them and discourage them from continuing to better themselves. But I want them to take the criticism and run with it and not be offended by it, right? I want you to learn what your paying customers want from you, the quality that they're expecting, and I want you to up your game. Right. That's what I want you, because I want every developer to succeed. Right. You know, especially those that are trying to make a living off this. Go for it. Even I'm in the 3D. You know, I'm learning Blender. I got really good at it for a while, and then depression hit, and I stopped doing any Blender for a year because I was working on Amarillo.
You forget it. The same thing happened to me.
And I forgot all of it. And I just now started back with a new version of Blender, with the hopes that I'll be able to finish Amarillo, but I have to start over from scratch. So I decided to not go back right into Amarillo. I decided to start on Alliance Airport here in Fort Worth, the big FedEx, Amazon Prime Air Cargo hub. Cool. So I'm working on that right now. I picked it back up pretty quick, but I haven't learned how to texture yet. I can 3D mesh model all day long. No problem. I love the details, the little pipes and little ladders. I do all that stuff. But unwrapping it and then texturing it, it's going to make me hit my head on this keyboard repeatedly until I'm unconscious, probably.
I'm sure you could find somebody who can do just that for you.
Oh, I sit here and I watch Vertical, like, working, right? So he's working on, like, Ontario, right? That's his new airport that he's working on. And he's in Substance Painter, like, doing the texture work. And he's just like, bam, 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 bam. My building's done. It's so pretty. And I'm just like, how the hell? And then I have to be reminded, he spent the last 2.5, 3 years of his life learning how to do all this. So if you really want to do this, it takes some time to learn the tools, and learn how it's done. And you also have to, especially senior development, you got to have if you're just in it for the money, no offense to anybody who's a developer in the channel, if you're just in it for the money, I think the product will suffer in the end, right? Yeah. You got to have a passion. You got to want to do the art side of it, right? Yeah. To me, in real world, I love going to airports and spotting, not just for the planes, but I love the architecture of airports. Yeah. I think they're works of art. European airports more than U.S. U.S. airports are a little boring compared to European airports.
Yeah,
but I can't get
ways.
I can't get over to the European airports though. It's too expensive. So, but 3D modeled airports to me are the same as a painting. They're works of art. And there's something for a developer to be proud of when they're done with it and sit back and go, I made this. This is awesome. And, you can get burned out, right? Any job, you can get burned out at any job, right? Even Hollywood actors get burned out making millions of dollars. I know that's weird, but why do you think they all do drugs and alcohol and stuff? They get burned out, same as anybody else, right? So, but you got to have a passion for it so that your passion will translate into the quality of the final product that you release. If you care about what you're doing, it'll look phenomenal. If you're just in it for the bucks, you end up with subpar quality airports that it's going to give you a bad rep. And as a new developer, you don't want a bad rep right out the gate, right? Mm-mm. That's suicide, right? You're just killing yourself. There's one developer, and I won't call them out. I don't buy any of their airports because they're all garbage, and yet they still kick them out. It seems like they kick out an airport every single week. Yeah. And I look at it and I'm like, I mean, to be fair, they say it's a representation of, not an actual. That's kind of how they get away with it, right? They're like, this is a representation for Birmingham. This is a representation for Albany, stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, no, not really. It's barely better than default, guy. So I'm just like, I don't. Some developers, I steer clear. Pearl Sim already burned me twice because I ended up buying their Houston George W. also, right? Major airport here in Texas. Major airport here in Texas that's sorely needed on X-Plane.
Are you sure that was Pearl?
There's two. There's two. There's two of them. There's
you're
two,
right. There was two. They're both horrible.
One's Pearl and one is like Axos. Axos or something like that. Not to be confused with Axonos.
It was AeroX.
Axonos. Yeah. That one I went with the Pearl Sim one because it looked a little bit better in the screenshots. But boy, when I booted that up, I booted it up in our private Discord channel, right, for all my my subscribers. Because we have our own private little voice channel, and I booted it up in live stream mode. And I was like, let's take a look at this monstrosity. And I was like, WTF? Oh my God! And I'm a big cargo guy, right? I love flying cargo planes. George W.'s got a huge cargo ramp.
Yes, it
I go over to
does.
the cargo ramp, and there's literally a freaking 12-foot light pole every 5 feet across the cargo ramp.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
I'm like, Pearl Sim, did you even look at the satellite imagery when you were making this airport? This is a cargo ramp. Why are there lights every 5 feet? So, and that airport has no ground traffic routing, by the way. Same thing with the Charlotte, North Carolina that I flew the other day. They didn't have any ground routes. I had to get all the ground routes done within 4 hours of the stream. So I could use my AI program at Charlotte. Even though I was going to be on VATSIM, I still wanted all that. It was American airline planes, running around everywhere. So I had to do all this work. I had to do the other 25% of the airport work that this developer should have done himself.
Jesus,
How was your
man, that's
performance
crazy.
on those airports? Because I have those ones as well, and I have a specific experience with it.
They can be harsh, but once I clean them up, because I know what kills the frame rate.
So what was it that was killing the frame rates for the people to know?
Well, I mean, for George W., the fact that he had 4,000 HDR lights everywhere. Those HDR lights are all those are all physically rendered lights. They're actually casting a real light source, which means they have to calculate. They have their numbers in there, right? If you've ever looked at a light file for an OBJ file for a light pole or something, there's a huge line of crap that you're looking at this going, what the hell does it mean? It's actually the light bulb that's screwed in, right? And so, but the simulator still has to simulate how that's going to be cast onto the buildings and the planes and any vehicles that are like traveling by or cargo containers. It has to calculate all of that. And so when you do 1 million of these tightly compressed together in a small space, you just absolutely demolish the simulator. GeForce Designs, arguably one of the best developers in the world for 3D scenery in simulators, the Polish team, their Chicago O'Hara on X-Plane is a nightmare at night. During the day, I'm like 50 frames per second. At night, 8 frames per second.
Yeah. Wow.
And you go on GeForce Designs forums and you're like, hey, dude, there's a problem with your airport at night. No, there isn't. It works perfectly fine on our computers. And I'm like, what kind of computers NASA called? They want to know where their computer is, So, and I finally, and other people in the community, we finally got to the bottom of why. It's because GeForce Designs decided to use HDR light bulbs inside the 3D model terminals to light the inside of the terminals.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's fantastic because it makes the inside of the terminals look really realistic, right? But X-Plane is having to calculate these 4 gajillion light bulbs that are all screwed in to the terminal rather than using the old method of lit files, right? Where, once the simulator gets to a certain brightness level, it loads night textures. So you get this illusion that it's lit up. And that's what you need to be doing on X-Plane. For if you're going to do like 3D modeled interiors, that's the way you have to do it. You can't light up with HDR bulbs. X-Plane can't handle it. Microsoft gets away with it just fine because, again, they have a different rendering engine, right? They can handle that. It's more modern. So they light up the inside of terminals all the time. In fact, that's the big thing that I love on Microsoft. All these airports coming out, and they're modeling all the 3D interiors.
Yeah.
It just looks amazing, right? I don't need 3D interiors to be happy with an airport. It's icing on the cake for me, but I appreciate the effort. I love it when they do that. But on X-Plane, you can't do that effectively and light it with those HDR light bulbs because you'll just demolish the frame rate at night. And to this date, they still refuse to fix it. So we had to do our own community fix and basically change out the light bulbs that they decided to use with different ones, which that gave us back about 10 frames per second, unscrewing light bulbs and screwing in new light bulbs. Basically, we had to edit some OBJ files and change out some of the parameters on the flights to get it to work better. And I'm like, but that's my point. Even a well-established developer like GeForce Designs is trying to do techniques that don't work in X-Plane and then not acknowledging their shortcomings. They're just leaving it there. Oh, it works fine on our computer. Well, hooray for you. But what about the other 3,000 of us who bought this product and we can't use it at night because it runs like dog crap? Like I said, small developer, big developer. I don't give anybody any leeway. I will call you out for the shenanigans that I see in your airport. That's wrong. And hopefully, my message is probably never get back to these people, but hopefully somebody will see it and be like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that on our next airport. And maybe we should go back and update this airport so we'll make our customers happy. But to date, that hasn't happened.
Hey, you never know who's watching.
You never know.
Here's a compromise for you. I'm sitting here listening to you talk about these sceneries on these airports. We need to get somebody to don't have you record a separate video. Just go to your Twitch streams and edit out the relevant parts about when you're talking about a product or something and just put it on YouTube. I'm good with that. What do you think, Blue? That would work, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think that your scenery reviews are needed on YouTube specifically as short form content and not a 4-hour video.
Yes. And you don't have to say it over again. Just record, have it edited out and presented. You know, it doesn't have to be fancy, just you talking about it. So because I'm learning a lot listening to you, and you're saying a lot of things that me and Blue say behind the scenes. I've even said on the podcast. You know, Blue's been unbeaten this over our heads, like, yo, these guys need to be held accountable, and nobody is.
There's some scenery I see on the Microsoft marketplace that I'm like, how dare you charge money for this?
There are, even Microsoft's got your winners. By the way, the guy that I mentioned that I will not buy his scenery, he makes scenery on Microsoft now too.
Oh boy!
Wow.
And it looks slightly better than his X-Plane scenery, but that's because, like I said, you can take a dog turd and wrap it in Microsoft's rendering engine, and it will look better than it can on X-Plane, just because of the way that it does lighting and shadows, and the way that the PBR material works and stuff is so much different than X-Plane.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, I want to know your opinion. What is your, and you can, I mean, it might be hard for you to narrow this down, but what is your number one favorite scenery? It doesn't matter what platform. Favorite airport scenery.
Oh my God.
Good one.
God.
Like when you think I'm gonna fly into an airport and I want this to be the most beautiful, just everything, taxi in, taxi out, take out, departure. I mean, like you are just fully satisfied when you go to this airport because of the
one of the ones I constantly tell everybody that I like is Blue Yonder's Portland KPDX.
Ooh.
It looks good. It looks good on P3D. It looks good on X-Plane, and it looks good in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It looks good in all three of them.
I don't have that. Hold on a second. Whoa.
It's released. It's released under Flight Beam's title.
That's
yes.
why.
Yeah,
I see them as Flight Beam, not Blue Yonder.
Okay.
Yeah. But they're the developer. Flight Beam is just the distributor. So
Gotcha.
Okay.
it's kind of like Orbix. Orbix doesn't hardly do any airports anymore. They distribute all these other different people under their umbrella, so under their corporation name. So that's why if you go look at Orbix's products, it'll be like Orbix, this, and this, and you look down there and there's a little thing developed by Axonos, developed by Blue Yonder. You'll see a little tiny blurbs down there. But Portland consistently is it's a pretty airport. It's fun. That river approach looks really beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The airport that gives me the most excitement, like I get a full-on robot chubby every time I come into this airport, is Washington Ronald Reagan. The river visual onto runway 19.
Yeah, crashing 90% of the approaches I do in there. Yeah, sure.
It is sober, and Drew Zwicky Designs does that one, and it's pretty good on X-Plane. And it's have they released it on Microsoft yet? I don't think they have.
I have a Washington scenery for Microsoft. I'm trying to see if it's Drew Zwicky. I think it is. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know who makes the Microsoft one. I don't.
Yeah.
I know I have scenery for DCA. I just don't know who made it.
The airport that terrifies me the most, that I love, is Chicago Midway. Because that 5,400-foot runway is unforgiving. If you do not hit the touchdown zone and hit it hard, I get constant shit from my community members. Oh my God, you broke my spine, you broke my back, you landed so hard. Yeah. Some airports, that's how they do it in real life. And Chicago Midway is one of them. They slam that bitch down at 300, 400 feet per minute to get it on the ground quick.
Yep.
And then max brakes, max thrust reversers. They got to stop that thing quick.
Yep.
And for some reason, even though I've flown into Chicago probably 100 times in my flight sim, flight time, that airport always terrifies me when I'm coming in on that final approach. I'm just like... Burbank does that to me also when I'm doing the runway 15 arrival. Yeah,
it's almost like you get it in your head that this is a short runway, and it makes you screw up your landing all the time.
Yeah,
yeah.
I have done
Wicked does
go-around.
DCA. Yeah, Just Wicked does DCA for Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Okay, so they do.
I have both.
Fantastic. I think I have it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. Listen, if it doesn't look right coming down, you can always go around. Just remember that song. So
Saint Martin is like that too. Yeah, TNCM is like that. I always slammed it down for some reason coming over that fence. I don't know what it is.
Saint Martin scares me in a different reason because I usually fly the big jets into there, and because I fly for my own, I have my own Solaris virtual airline, right? So that we run, and because the reputation of our airline is so good, our AI passengers are almost always happy, and so our planes are always full, right? They're always booked to the max, and they usually stuff the plane full of cargo too. So you're a 757, 767 sitting on this runway, and 747s can take off from here too. They used to all the time until they started retiring them all. But just sitting on there with a full cargo bay and full passenger list, and you got this short runway, and there's a mountain in front of you. And I'm just like,
back to the right.
Okay, this will be maxed. Brakes on, max toga, brakes off. Oh my God, let's get out of here. Full flaps departure. Let's go. And so Princess Juliana terrifies me for that reason.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
So I always land terribly at Princess Juliana because I get distracted by all the bikini babes that are on the beach, all jumping up and down and stuff. It's just like, what's up, ladies? What's going on? What's going on? Oh shit! I'm landing the plane. Oh, okay. I got this.
Yeah, it's true. Oh my word, this is lovely, man. Wow, I love simming. I love flight simming. I'm glad you're back in it. I'm glad you're doing your thing.
I'm glad X-Plane's behaving. So finally behaving for me. I'm able to do long hauls now. I've never been able to do long hauls in X-Plane. I did a 10-hour flight from Tokyo to San Francisco last night and landed this morning, and I was just like, yes.
That's such a cheap way to do a long haul and have a lot of scenery, right? You fly over, you have scenery for Japan, you got scenery for San Francisco, and then you fly over the water.
Listen, I've done long hauls from India over to China, so you're constantly over land for that too. So I've done it, but yeah.
Wow.
Listen, I go where the money is, and San Francisco had a lot of priority packages sitting at Tokyo and Narita, so I was like, I'll take that. Yoink.
So on that, somebody in chat was asking too. They want you to say a little bit more about your VA, your virtual airline.
Yeah, interesting.
The virtual airline. You know what? Can I link drop here? Are we able to link drop?
I'm not sure if you can. If you can't, drop it in Discord. We can repost it.
There you go, right there. You can go in there, take a look at our beautiful website, watch the music video that starts playing as soon as you log in. But we operate off the FSA network, which is run by a guy named Joe, and he's very, very good at his job, and his product is really good. It is the only VA software on the market that simulates paying pilots correctly, aircraft wear and tear, maintenance costs, A, B, C, and D checks have to be done in real time, by the way. So if you have a B check because somebody landed too hard and they damaged the gear, it could take 3 days for that plane to become available again to fly. And I love that kind of realism, the fact that we have that. We have storage facilities all over the world. We get to buy buildings. You get to buy storage buildings and repair centers and stuff. So it's kind of like, Airport Tycoon, but in a giant
amazing.
VA.
Drop that in the Discord here. I want to post it up. I don't see the link come up here. Drop it in the Discord, our group chat here real quick. I want to post that up.
Let's see here.
That finally sounds like an interesting
I also want to know more about
idea.
that system you got. I want to get me one of them.
There we go. SolarisVia.org. Okay.
It's fsairlines.net, by the way, is the service. And Joe would appreciate your business. It's free unless you want to be the CEO. If the CEO, you have to pay the monthly fee of, are you ready? $1.99. I don't know if you can afford that, but $1.99.
I don't know, man. It's kind of steep.
So I bought the platinum package. You can buy gold or platinum. I got the platinum because I wanted a huge airline. And I knew that being a Twitch streamer, I was going to be able to attract a lot of people real fast. And we did. We had at one point 600 active pilots. So that's a lot of people.
Jeez.
And the reason why I started the VA is because I used to fly for Southwest Virtual, and I did American Airlines Virtual, and then I did World Virtual, which is basically any airline, anytime in the world, anywhere, right? But the problem I had with these is the community around it. Nobody ever talked to anyone. Nobody talks to each other. Even though the ACAR software would allow you to send messages, right, in real time to other fellow pilots on the network, nobody would ever talk. So I was like, wait a minute. Listen, flight simulation should be a social event. we should be enjoying this together and communicating and talking and sharing news and ideas and reviews that we might have seen and videos and stuff like that. So I built a Discord channel around Twitch first, but then I turned it into not just Twitch. It's part of our VA now too.
Wow.
And you are required, you have to have Discord or you can't join our airline, because we want you to embrace the social aspect too and talk to your fellow pilots and have fun and send jokes and, bust each other's balls whenever somebody, breaks a plane or smashes into the side of a mountain or something, while flying. And so that's kind of why I started doing that. And it took off. We started over on the SimBuddy platform, which
I used SimBuddy back in the day. Salute to SimBuddy.
SimBuddy is disconnected. SimBuddy has connected. So, us veterans who have been in the airline for 3 years, we do that all the time when we're flying. Somebody will just come into the chat channel and go, SimBuddy is disconnected. I was like, get out of here, SimBuddy. Nobody likes you anymore. Nobody likes you anymore. SimBuddy was so limiting because it only allowed for like 2,000 routes.
But it was the start of something so cool.
It was a great idea. That's why I said Joe was like, I like this, but I want more. I want to actually simulate real airline operations.
Yeah.
So he did all that. And whereas you can only do like 2,000 routes on SimBuddy, we have about 20,000 routes now for our airline here, because our airline is divided into divisions. We have a cargo division. We have the passenger division. We have the touring division, right? People that want to fly the touring planes in like the Caribbean stuff. We have a South America division. We have a Japan division, and we have an Australian division, and of course Europe. We have big European division. So so we have all these different divisions. So you can literally, whatever type of pilot you are, bush pilot who wants to deliver cargo into the mountains in Papua New Guinea, you can do that with our VA.
That's amazing.
If you want to fly cargo for 22 hours in the air from Australia all the way to London Heathrow, knock yourself out. Just make sure the plane gets there in one piece. So, but it does everything. It does maintenance, fuel charges. We have to refuel. We have to pay for parking.
Wow.
Right? If your planes are going to be parking there overnight, every airport charges a fee, right? In real life, they charge airport fees for parking your airplanes and stuff overnight. It does all that. You can make business deals with other airlines and start doing code shares and route shares and stuff, just like they do in real life. There's a lot of stuff there. We're running
it over.
We're running it pretty successfully. We're running it pretty damn successfully. So I like what we have here. We're down to like 123 active pilots right now. I don't know what happened. There was a huge exodus of people that they didn't say I quit. They just stopped showing up. So I don't know if COVID or something like just knocked people out or something, or if they found a better place. And I'm just like, better place. You're going to find better than us. We're the best damn airline on the internet right now. All right.
Somebody just did South Korea or China all the way to Germany. Wow. I'm looking at the map on the Solaris website here. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. You see all of our. Well, those are real time. Those are pilots that are currently in the air that are flying for us.
Wow.
So sometimes you'll see just one guy, and sometimes you'll see 15, 20 people up in the air. It just depends on if it's a weekend or a weekday.
Yeah, Solaris is the VA.
So, we have pilots from all over. We just this morning, it was awesome. So these 5 guys all signed up at the same time this morning, right? And they all logged into our Discord at the same time, and they all went down to the pilot identification channel, right, where you have to check in and say, hey, I'm new to the airline. I don't have an ID yet, but I'm here. So we'll go and we'll hire them on. We'll send them the employee handbook and say, here you go. And we'll set up their type ratings and all that stuff. But they were all answering my questions with the same answer, right? And so I was like, wait a minute. So I went in there and I undid all their type ratings, right? I unapproved all of them as pilots because I'm like, am I getting trolled? Is this like a bot or something? And I was like, are you guys like quadruplets or quintuplets or something? Because you're all responding at the same time with the same answer. And so they were all LOLing at the same time too. I was like, okay. I was like, guys, I've revoked all your licenses because I can't tell if you guys are here to harm the network or something. And finally, they goes, no, we're all real. We promise. I go, we'll go into the voice chat and we'll verify ourselves. So all 5 of them went into voice chat. I went in there with them this morning before I went to work at 6:30 in the morning. And I was like, what's up, guys? And sure enough, it was 5 different individuals, all 5 of them from India.
Wow.
They were all from India, and they were looking for a nice active VA that allowed them to fly in parts of the world that they wanted to fly in, and they saw how successful we are. And FS Airlines allows you to look at statistics by airline, and we're consistently in the top 5 airlines out of the 1,100 airlines that are on FSA. So it's the two Russian airlines are always number 1, and I don't know how they're doing it. They have far less pilots than we do. but they fly these like ridiculous 7,000 nautical mile flights in like these giant Antonov aircraft or big A380s and stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm like, they can't be. They have to be using time compression, right? Because FSA will allow you to set up your VA to allow time compression. We do not, because we're realism VAs. It's 1 for 1, right? If it's a 12-hour flight, your ass is going to be in the air for 12 hours. God willing, and your simulator can hold together for that long. So, after 2 hours, for me, after 2 hours, it's like a wish and a prayer. So it's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it or not, but we'll try.
I'm looking at the FS Airlines website, and it's showing Solaris is the second one. I don't know how they organize it, but you're the second one with the second most pilots.
It's different categories by miles, by passengers moved, by cargo moved. You can change different types of ones, but we're consistently high in all the categories though. Passenger satisfaction, landing rating, cargo move, miles flown, passengers flown, all that stuff. So we're able to do all that because we have such amazing pilots. We have a ton of amazing pilots there, and the system can be as automated as you want it, but I don't have a lot of the automated like promotions. I don't automate the promotion process because I like taking an interest in all of my pilots, even if there's 300 of you. Every Sunday, I review every single pilot's performance record and their hours to see if they're qualified to be bumped up to the next rank.
That is dedication right there.
Right,
that's the kind of person you want running your VA.
and if they do it, the reason why I don't do it automated is because I send out a congratulations letter to each pilot.
Wow.
And sometimes they're a form letter, but I switch it up a little bit. But
right.
So, but it all depends on what rank they're getting. Like if they become senior executive captains or something, that's a full personal letter. Like, man, you've been here for 3,000 hours. That's a monumental achievement in a VA. I actually have 3 senior executive captains now. We just got our 3rd one last month. I'm like, these are guys who have been here since the beginning, who have flown over 3,000 flight hours. I mean, you might as well be real pilots at this point, and I'm just like, you guys are awesome. And I have made a deal too. I said the first person to reach chief pilot of the airline, which is at 4,000 hours, you're going to get a gift card. You're going to get a Visa gift card for a substantial amount.
Nice.
So I've turned it into a game, right? I've turned it into a big game. So, and each subsequent chief pilot, if people can get there, they'll get a little something on the side just as a thank you for flying for us for so long. So I'm crazy like that. I did so many giveaways on Twitch. Every time I look at the X-Plane store and it tells me how many gift cards I bought, I lay my head on the desk and go, my God, I could have bought a whole new gaming rig for the amount of giveaways I've done.
It's the fun, man. Listen up, guys. You need to go on Twitch and subscribe to Captain K-Man and follow. You guys need to definitely. Oh, by the way, Captain K-Man, you officially beat the record, 2 hours and 34 minutes. That's the longest, Blue. What do you say? Well, that's
I think
the longest,
so.
yeah.
I gotta go back and look at the record books, but I think so.
You have 2.5 hours, man. Jeez. Yeah, you definitely need to go over on Twitch and watch him when he stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 2,400 hours UTC if you're in UTC time.
Definitely. Check him out. This guy deserves it. This guy deserves your time and attention. As you could tell, me and Blue come by and probably ask 3 questions the whole time, and Captain K-Man took the rest of the show. That's it. I love it. I love it.
People who know me, once I get going, you can't stop me.
Awesome.
Like, somebody shut that guy up. No, I cannot be silenced.
No. Wow. All right. So what you got coming up, Captain K-Man? Tomorrow's Friday, you're streaming, and then weekend, and then what's next can we expect from you?
Okay, so, Friday we're going to try to do the F&O tomorrow on VATSIM. So now that I got my VATSIM working, something went crazy with VATSIM for me. My audio has turned so poor on VATSIM since the velocity upgrade. Like if I turn on the radio simulation, whenever a pilot or a controller talks, the high end of the spectrum spikes. And it makes my speakers vibrate and it hurts my ears. Wow. So I have to turn off the radio simulation, but then everybody is too quiet. Right, I have to turn them up to like 100% to be able to hear them, and even still over the engines and stuff like that. If I don't turn down my X-Plane sound, and I love sound. All right, anybody who knows anything, when I buy an airplane, 50% of my review is the sound. If the sound is not there, your airplane is not good to me. You're dead to me. So
That's me. Yep, I agree.
so people underestimate how important sound is. Like the new Mad Dog that's coming from Leonardo. I watched that 10-minute video that just came out, and I was like, beautiful plane. It sounds terrible. There's no 3D audio, no positional sound, at least in the video. I don't know
that when they did the rotating thing, I was like, I don't know about this sound.
It didn't sound like I was in the cockpit. It didn't sound, and when they did the outside view, I didn't feel those JT6 engines. Is it JT6 engines that are on the
JT8? Yeah.
JT8, something like that. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel it in my soul, right? I want to feel the engine going through me. So, and I didn't. And I'm like, again, this is Microsoft's big problem. Everything looks beautiful, but it sounds not so good, and it doesn't fly so good. So I'm hoping they improve that over the next 2 years. So get that done. But yeah, we're gonna do all that, and then we're gonna have fun this weekend with our little brother. I haven't seen him in a while. We're gonna do all that, and then we'll be back on Monday for stuff. And you guys got me thinking about reviving the YouTube channel, because I used to do a lot of tutorial work there too. Just tutorials.
Just have somebody edit your live stream down to a 10-minute, 5-minute segment and drop it. That's it. No double work on your part.
I guess we'll get it that
live.
The last video I dropped on YouTube was wasn't really a review of Lyon in France, but I did a promotional video for it with full X camera like tracking motion and professional music that I bought a license for the music and stuff from a professional company, and we put it all together, and it's 4 minutes of one of my favorite trailers I've ever made.
Wow.
And I was working on Vertical Sims Tampa, but ADD took over, and I was like, squirrel, I'm gonna go do something else. I don't want to work on this anymore. Yeah, I don't want to work on this anymore. Vertical, go hire somebody professional. I got other stuff to go do. So I do all that. But I guess I'll try to become more active. I'm still getting in here, because there's days when I'm still like, yeah, I just want to relax after a day of regular work.
And that's why you got to cut it from your live stream. It's already done. It's out there. You've already said it, and it's already there. So
you fellas are making me a better streamer. I just want you to know that. You're gonna turn me into a better streamer.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is start slow. Do what you're doing because it's working, and then if you want to add the YouTube, maybe have a goal. Once a week or once a month or 2 a month. Like, don't try to be like, I'm posting every stream is gonna be cut down. Like, no, don't do all that. That's too much work.
Yeah, it'll be much. See, the problem is you got that 40-hour a week work job, right? The job that you go to 40 hours a week, and you only have so much free time afterwards and on the weekend, and you got family and friends to hang out with. I'm trying to learn 3D modeling. I'm also writing a book, so I got to find time to work on my book and stuff. And so it's just like, when do I have time to edit YouTube videos?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I put that in there? So I like your idea though. Maybe once a month, maybe twice a month. I might be able to swing that. Sacrifice a few hours on a Saturday to clip something together. And,
I'd grab the popcorn and watch that. Like, I gotta watch this. Captain K just dropped something. Let's see what it is.
All right, I'm doing it for you.
Me and XP always talk about repurposing content. That's all you gotta do.
That's it, man. Wow.
You have a 4-hour live stream. That is 4 hours worth of content you could repurpose.
There you go.
I didn't think of it that way. Yeah. You guys are about to make me dangerous.
Y'all better watch out for Captain K to set a fire.
Oh boy, in trouble now.
I'm gonna have to cut you out, bro, because we got to go tonight. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's really been honestly, I've learned a lot from the conversation. I have a lot of questions to ask you. I'm gonna stay connected with you because I want to talk to you about some things. But man, I think me, XP, and everyone watching and listening to this got a lot out of this, and we're very entertained.
I'm going to throw you some screenshots. I'll throw you some screenshots here in this group of my X-Plane, and you can decide if you like the way it looks. If you like the way it looks, I'll tell you my dirty secrets.
I usually don't like reshades, so let's see if you change my mind.
We might have to, man. We might have to. We have to go there. Microsoft is lurking, man. So if we want our X-Planes to be up to snuff, we gotta get some Captain K-Man secret and make it work. Guys, that's it, man. I'll be back tomorrow. I might do a longer stream than normal tomorrow. A semi-long haul. Yeah, surprise.
Boy.
Oh, yeah. And then one more for the weekend, since I missed Wednesday. So 2 more streams for the rest of the week, and we'll start back again Monday with some more touring. And that's it. What you got going on, Blue?
I have my week finale. My last stream of the week will be tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, 1600 Zulu. We'll be flying over in the 787 in Qatar. It's gonna be nice. Not a long haul though. Not a long haul.
The big Boeing.
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. Doing some heavy light flying tomorrow. Oh yes.
Yep. All right, so there's how many things, Blue, you gotta do and what? You take it out, man. You finish
How many
it.
things? Oh, you got 3 choices. Give up, give in, and give it all. You got peace, love, and fire emojis. We'll see you guys next time in the next video. Wow. Turn the intro music up. Bam.
Take care. There you go. Awesome. Wow.